Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
When you're
the ghost, and
275
what's Tard?
pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
The Freightliner? It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
yeah.
You know,
He's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villachez.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Pert Near Outdoors Podcast. Billy here, and welcome to, we're 163 maybe. I believe that's where we are. I got a two-part episode coming for you. I'm going to release this one here on Friday morning, and then should have the second half of it will be early next week sometime. But this is going to be part one of our 4.5 hour podcast we did, Beers on the Deck. This is our third year of doing that, late in July, getting a few of the guys to come over to the house and sit out on the back deck here at my place and tell some hunting stories, reminisce about the successes and the trials and tribulations of the year past, and start getting excited about the upcoming deer season. So these conversations they're all over the place. We get a little colorful. We have some profanity. We're drinking some adult beverages. So you youngsters out there, we're mature adults, and we're legal to do these things. So don't enjoy these stories if you're going to stay listening, but just be aware of some of the adult content that's here. It's nothing overly inappropriate, but just the boys being boys. So these are hands down my favorite podcasts, and we had just so much fun. And listening back to this, it's just gold to have this recorded, because I just absolutely cherish these times with my friends, and especially getting Dallas and Brian together, and when we're just telling stories from the past, and it's always fun to get everybody's perspective on things. So hope you enjoy the first half here, and the second half will be coming to you next week, and it just keeps getting better. I will highlight quickly the success of last Sunday of the beer event there at Windy Brew. Can't thank enough everybody who showed up. I'm guessing we were somewheres between the 60 and 80 number of attendees. I don't think we quite hit 100, but we did run out of cups, so we were somewheres in the neighborhood of 100. But I know a few people grabbed a few extras to take home to have at the house. So we had a great turnout. We sold a ton of raffle tickets, raised a bunch of money for the Deer Association and Venison Donation, and can't thank everyone enough for their support and participation, and using and spending your dollars that you have, that I know are very highly cherished at this moment, with the cost of everything else being higher than normal. You still decided to come out and bring a pile of cash and spend money to support these great organizations that we're supporting. So we had probably our two biggest prizes, and probably the biggest highlight from the event was that the muzzleloader we were raffling actually went to it didn't go directly to him, but his name was on the card. But a young man named Caleb, 6 years old. He was there with his dad. His dad's a podcast listener. Shout out to you guys for being there and coming out. But Caleb was all excited to be there. And when his name got drawn, when his card was pulled for the muzzleloader, he was so fired up. And I'll have to post up a picture of the big smile on his face. We'll never forget that, and can't wait for him to get 5-6 years older, so he can get out there and start chasing deer with his dad and using that gun, which is a pretty incredible thing. And then the winner of the full bow package, the ready to shoot bear archery bow we had donated to us by the FLX Outdoor Sports Store, that went to a 14-year-old young man named Colton Joe. And anybody who's familiar with Colton Joe, he's not a family member directly of the Harveys, but Colton Joe is a code name for him because he's like the replacement of my cousin Joe, who's moved off and serving the Navy currently. And little Colton has replaced Joe, hence the name Colton Joe, as one of our apprentice burgermen. So Colton is new to hunting. It's all new to him, and he was very, very excited to win that bow. So pretty cool to have some great funds raised, prizes going to people who we know will cherish them and enjoy them, and just seeing everybody out and engaged and having fun. So that was great. And then Monday night, had another cool opportunity. Dad and I went to I guess it'd be like the Livingston County Federations, all the conservation clubs got together. It was at the Canisius Lake Conservation Sportsman's Club, I think is what it's called. We went there, and they had Marjorie Burns, which is a assemblywoman that represents Livingston County for the state of New York. She came and spoke to everybody there about the recent gun legislation that the governor and the Democrats rammed through here in early July to I think it was the 1st of July that was actually signed officially into law. And CCIA, the Concealed Carry Improvement Act, is what it's called. And boy, is it a far-reaching piece of legislation. And it really, it goes after all angles of legal gun ownership and makes it more difficult to own a weapon, more difficult to participate in shooting sports, more difficult to hunt, on and on and on. So there's been some great articles written about it. New York Outdoor News, Dan Ladd's done a good job of covering it. I know we talked a little bit about it on the podcast here last week. If you haven't listened to that one, I definitely encourage it. There's a lot of good information in there, very informative for everybody to know what is going on. And at the end of the day, it's tough because in the areas where we live, out here in Western New York, most of our region is pretty conservative and two-way supporting, and most of our representatives are also of that mindset. But we are such a minority voice in the state of New York that there's not really a whole lot that we can do about it directly. But what we can do is make sure everyone's informed and understanding what's going on, and support some of the organizations that are fighting this and are filing lawsuits against the state of New York to try to overturn or at least put a stay in place so that we can not have to follow these things come September 1st. So cross your fingers if you can. If you're interested, check out some of these groups. Gun Owners of America is one. I think Scope is another. It sounds like there's a New York Rifle and Pistol Association. So there's some groups out there that are fighting this and are filing lawsuits. And I'm personally not a member of any of those organizations financially, but I do, jump on any of their email campaigns and things like that. So it's something that I'm thinking about, wondering whether I do want to make a financial investment or not. But that's a decision for everybody to make on their own. But just educate yourself. And at the end of the day, it's just one thing after another that it just seems like they keep grabbing at legal citizens, law-abiding citizens, whether doesn't matter what the topic is. It just seems like the last few years have just been constant control and constant domination of the choices that we have and the liberties that we have as citizens, especially in New York State. So everybody knows where I stand. You've heard me talk about this stuff for a couple of years, and I'll continue to do it. And I think I'll leave it right there because you know where I stand. Two-way, respect our rights, respect the your neighbors, appreciate each other, be a good person, and at the end of the day, hopefully we'll all see the other side of this and work through it and make our society and our state a better place for it, and maintain the rights that we are given as members of this great country. So God bless America. Enjoy this podcast of five gentlemen sitting on a deck enjoying adult beverages. Doesn't get any more American than that. So have a great weekend. Stay healthy. kiss your wife, keep feeding them. Yep. All right, we're live. Just give us a second here. We're settling in. We're running a little late. We had a birthday party for Bill Dan today, and AJ is probably struggling right now. I would assume to get out of his house with the 3 children. Brother Dallas just went somewhere to do something. I'm fixing to think that's what he's doing. So we got Brad Lindsay on the horn with us, and we got Trigger and myself. The game plan tonight is we're just going to have a good time. We're going to drink some beers and or some liquor or some wine. We're just having a good time. Can you hear everything? You can't hear nothing. Trigger can't hear anything.
Nope.
All right, Trigger. For real?
I don't hear anything.
Really? Nothing?
I mean, I can hear you yap, just not through the headphones.
Really? Which
Can you
one?
hear him, Bert?
I can hear you through my headphones.
You can't hear nothing through your headphone?
Oh, I'm deaf.
How about
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh, you got that? Yeah.
It's a bit loud.
You feel it, yeah. I was told the other day by the guys from Copeland that I had it a little loud. I like to hear it in my headphones.
Yeah, it's loud.
So what's everybody drinking on? Do you need a drink, Trigger?
No, I got a hot one.
You got a hot one. It's between your legs?
Yeah.
You like to keep the hot ones between your legs, don't
Wanna
you?
touch it?
No, I'm good.
Put your mouth around it.
Nope. We've already covered that discussion today. We discussed.
Your loss.
It is my loss. I got one just like that. Dallas, how are you?
What's up?
Not much. We kind of jumped in here. We just wanted to get the live going. We were running a little late getting going, but you and Brad were chatting about food plot stuff, and it's probably a pretty good spot to start because I know we're in a pretty damn dry spell here. We need rain real bad in Western New York right now. So, Brad? You just planted your stuff. You said you bought a planter. So, explain what you and your father-in-law bought for equipment.
So we were trying to buy a planter early, and obviously COVID shortage on everything, equipment, you couldn't find nothing. So we were looking around and kind of gave up hope. Well, the one day I popped on there and found a John Deere 7000 4-row planter. So we went to Eden, and it ended up being a pretty good buy. So we bought the 4-row. Even though I didn't really want a 4-row, I kind of wanted the 2 like you guys have. But so we planted late, and it really hasn't rained much since we planted. But when I was checking for the seed when we were planting, when I was walking behind the planter, Jim was running the tractor, there was moisture in the soil, so I felt pretty good about the ground temperature and everything, and it did pop in the next it popped quick too, Yeah, when the soil's that warm, it's going to pop fast. Yeah, it really did. So now, we're supposed to get thunderstorms, and I'm just really hoping that we get some thunderstorms. Just anything, really. I don't think we're going to get any soaking all-day rains anytime soon, but a thunderstorm, a good thunderstorm or something like that would just keep us in the game. So I took the 2 corn meters out of the one side, and so we did 2 and 2 corn and soybean. And then, so when you turn around, it's 4 rows. It's 4 rows of corn, 4 rows of soybean. You just keep turning back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of excited about that, see how that works. Normally I just do the brassica mix, and it works pretty well, but, you hear a lot of good about corn and soybean, so I'm just interested in seeing how it does. It's kind of exciting, just went down and bought a whole bunch of seed and a whole bunch of fertilizer from Reisdorf's. And Dallas, you were saying, about the mix or whatever down there, but I looked at their mix, and it was kind of lacking a couple things. I wasn't in love with it. Well, the lady let me I bought 5 pounds of sugar beets and added it to it. And then I bought 2 pounds of turnips, because the turnips go a little farther, purple top turnips, and added it to it. So you can get their, it's preferred seed and everything, and you can get their blends or whatever, but you can add whatever you want to it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
And the price was good and everything. And
yeah, I looked at their catalog, the preferred seed catalog. I liked it. I wasn't in love with their mixes, but I'm making all my own mixes now anyways. So from this point on, I'm pretty much designing and mixing all my own stuff. I like to keep the big seeds separate from the small ones. It's hard to broadcast with those mixes that have like peas and beans mixed with brassicas and whatnot. I've had a hard time with the bag spreader. Like those big seeds get jammed up in there. and then the big seeds don't broadcast well anyways, unless you have a really good seed bed for them. So I'll broadcast all the small seeds, and then anything that's bigger than like oats, sun hemp, buckwheat, that size, it's kind of like mid-size. Those actually go through that planter really well with the soybean meters. So anything bigger than a clover or a brassica, I'm just planting with that corn planter now.
Yeah,
It works awesome.
I couldn't get anything to grow that was anything close to like a soybean seed. If I broadcasted, I tried that a couple of years in a row.
You have to cover it, even if it's with vegetation, and probably roll it down. You'll get some germination, but it'll be such a low rate. And then you'll probably end up really spotty because you'll have spots that were softer or more moisture or something about the soil that took those better. So you got that planter now, and it's
I get 4.
even if it doesn't have no-till coulters on it, as long as you don't have like super hard ground, like if you went out there today with it, you wouldn't be able to no-till with it, but you're going to be able to no-till with that thing anyways. I'm not sure what you did with your corn, if you tilled that up or not, but
Yeah, we tilled it up. We rototilled it.
yeah. So, as long as you got some soil moisture where there's some softness to it, you'll be able to just go right through that and no-till it.
Yeah.
I guess I've heard that there's guys doing that, farmers that are doing that now, and I had 2 years ago when Billy planted our soybeans, Billy Kirsch, I had him do it. He swore up and down that it wouldn't work. I'm like, Billy, it'll work. Just go in it, because I had an area that it's kind of a wet. It's down near the beaver dam. They had food plot there. I knew there was enough moisture there that the ground was soft, so I had him drill in like 8 rows of soybeans right there. With I think they have the same John Deere 7000 planter. It's just a 6-row.
Mhm.
So he must have put 12 rows in, but they came up fine. We had like probably close to 100% germination with that planter without doing any soil work ahead of time. You know, if it's baking hot like this, you probably shouldn't be planting anyways.
Right,
you know,
the ground's
you
hard.
need some moisture anyways to get your stuff in evenly and germinated and everything. So I wouldn't even worry about it.
It looks just like yours, except for your no-till disc, your serrated disc. Holy hell, Billy.
These bugs are bad, right?
Yeah, well, they like
Your
that.
no-till serrated disc is where my fertilizer openers are.
Mm.
So I have like your openers like seeds. You know, I have those openers for the fertilizer. It's just not a serrated edge opener like you have. So
There's all different kinds of openers too.
right.
We had those spiked row cleaners on the front too, and I can't figure out what the purpose of those is. They just got in the way. I got into
Are
some.
they supposed to drag trash out of the way?
They're supposed to, but
They don't.
if you get them, you can't adjust them right. So if you get them set too deep, it's just rides on them. And then if
Right.
you set them up one notch higher, and they're just hanging out,
But I just
which I could see maybe that pushing some trash out of the way. But I tried going through some tall rye with it, and I had heard this, but I proved it. Those spiked wheels, they'll grab a hold of the rye or whatever kind of grass you got, and just wind right around them. So
do we need to, in the end, just
I took
put
them
them
off
in
already.
a little bit and put weight on the planter? Do we need weight on the planter?
No, I think it's working fine.
See, you could have a planter set up for however you do it. And if you went like a slightly different ground condition, it really changes it.
Right.
Like, you know, sometimes you're fine with the no-till, or you could put seed in with a regular planter that's not set up for no-till, or
Right.
and then, you know, if you it's the ground that's worked up is going to take on water faster if you don't get a lot of rain. But if you no-till,
It's
you know,
actually
you need
not.
what's that?
The tilled ground doesn't absorb water faster. It actually sheds it faster.
I don't.
How's that?
Because when you till it and you let all the oxygen out of the soil and all the carbon out of the soil, you're actually letting oxygen in, carbon out. But maybe that first, it doesn't absorb water. It's actually the ground that's had plants growing in it for a long time that absorbs the most moisture. Maybe the first day it'll seem like it, but if you get a hard rain the first day, it's going to wash it all away. It's going to erode it. But after a few days, you go back out there and it's like concrete already. So the water just hits it and runs off. That's a giant myth that tilling is going to absorb water. It just sheds it. You're actually not going to, if we get a thunderstorm here, you're going to barely get any of that water. You'll get enough to make your plants happy, but your soil's really not going to get any water. doesn't hold moisture
Yeah, it
either.
probably loses it quicker because it's not dense.
The no-till, yes, that holds the moisture.
I can
That's
see
one
that.
reason why the guys here like to till, because we live in such a wet area that they can get on their fields faster in the spring, because they can, when they do till, it lets the moisture out of the soil. But that's the point. It's going to let moisture out of the soil the rest of the year too. If they just waited an extra week or two, not even probably. But they're so excited to get on the fields that I mean, if you watch the guys around here, it'd be middle of April. They're nowhere near ready to plant corn, and they're out there disking up their fields just to let the moisture out. It's like, where's it going? It's not.
Yeah.
And it does dry it up fast, but for what?
Yeah, again, if you have a wet summer, you'd be fine. But if you have a dry summer like this year, you're not fine.
Right.
Even the corn around here, the farm corn, is pretty much at a standstill.
So you can see if you look at the different fields right now, based on when they planted and how high the corn is, you can tell that the stuff that canopied over is looking a lot better than the stuff that you can still see a little bit of soil, because the sun's just baking that soil that doesn't have any coverage on it. That's when you can notice in our plots, if you go anywhere where there's any kind of coverage on the soil, the plants are doing fine.
But yeah, it's the corn that got in a little later and missed all that moisture.
Yeah.
Didn't grow enough, and it's just baked.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are going to have hard time making much out of their corn, which when they plant late, they're just probably trying to make silage out of it anyways, so it is what it is, but it won't be much.
But that's the thing, when a farmer plants it, they're planting it any way they know how that is going to make a crop. Like you're just looking to get anything.
Mhm.
You know, there's a little difference, I guess. And any farmer that's tilled up their land for 80 years and did it in, beginning of May is looking to do that again.
Mhm.
But not that it's right or wrong. Probably not right, but
We need rain.
either
We're going to
way.
get it. If we get rain this week, things are going to just explode.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I don't think we're going to get rain.
I think we're going to get rain. I've been doing a dance every night. I might even fix to do one tonight. If I keep drinking these things.
So, Dallas, you were talking about how, because I've never done this before with the planter, so I can just put the brassicas between the rows.
Yeah.
Just cast them between the rows when it starts coming up. Like, pretty much I want to plant at the end of August, my brassicas.
Early August,
Yeah.
if you can. So it's your corn being late, it probably might not even be canopied over by early August.
But not if it
So
don't
now
get
you
rain.
said you did 4 and 4, which I thought I would have gone 2 and 2 or 1 and 1, so that you would leave more sunlight in there. So then you would never have to worry about canopy. So now you're just going to have to make sure you get your brassicas in before the canopy.
So they germinate.
Yeah,
They're going to do better in the beans.
they'll do a lot better in the beans.
I could really honestly just plant them in the beans.
You could actually just do them in the beans and then
Yeah,
wait until
that's
the
what I would
corn
do.
turns brown and then broadcast rye in there. And that would do well in there. Because once the corn is brown, then it'll let the sunlight in again. That might be a good way to go. And then you could actually just swap crops next year. Plant soybeans into that standing rye
Yeah,
with
plant
the
it
standing
opposite way.
corn.
So I didn't think corn would stand real well being 1 or 2 rows. You know what I mean? If I thought if we got a thunderstorm with some heavy winds or whatever, if I
Blow it
just
over.
planted two rows,
Yeah.
it'd be laying outside.
That's what I always think too.
So that's why I
Yeah.
did 4.
We had ours stood all winter. The good corn that we had. Some of it
Right.
was short, but the good field that we had, it stood all. I had to brush hog it in June just to get planted into it. It was so strong. There wasn't not one stalk of corn laying over, other than what I mowed over, which I did. I mowed some of that in the fall, made paths through it for the deer.
My buddy Chris Lawrence, he back when we were in high school, maybe it was college, but he did that. He had beans. It was all beans in a food plot, and then he broadcasted. I don't know, it must have been August sometime. Broadcasted just walking through there, just
Yeah.
broadcasted brassica, and it was like one of the greatest brassica plots I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, you seen our bottom plot last year.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the same thing I did.
That's
Yeah.
what I like about brassicas is it's not hard to grow.
Yeah.
No,
You could-
it's the one of the easiest things to grow.
It's like growing weeds, pretty much.
That was one of the things that I took when you and I went down to the NDA in Wellsville. They had the talk on food plots, and the guy was talking about how often people want to drag or roll over when they're planting some of those smaller seeds, and that's kind of counterproductive. You're almost better off rolling if you got bare dirt, like rolling it first and then broadcasting your seed, because you don't want that seed to get too deep.
No, and you don't want it to get any more than a ½ inch deep. A 1/4 inch is better.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect. But brassicas right on the soil. You drive around the farm and there's brassicas growing everywhere because they're popping out of the back of my 4-wheeler.
Oh.
That's why you see random turnips everywhere you go
Okay.
around the farm, is because I'll have loose seed laying in that basket, and just from me spilling
funny.
or whatever, and they'll pop out along the way, and you'll just be on a roadway somewhere in the middle of the roadway. You'll have a big old turnip growing there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you feel looking? I mean, I've been driving around looking at the food plots. I mean, obviously they're stunted a little bit because of the moisture issue, but seems
they're all
like
good and green though. still.
Yeah.
I think if we get rain, they're just gonna explode.
Yeah, they are.
I was
But
saying.
I'm not sure we're gonna get rain.
I was just looking. They're calling for a ½
They're
inch on
calling-
Sunday and a ½ inch on Monday. So
Yeah, if we get it,
it would be
gonna
huge.
explode. Yeah.
And what we haven't had over the last week or so has been like those passing afternoon showers. We haven't had that. It's just been these high pressure days where it's like, it's just beautiful. Like we haven't had humidity. Like it's just been, it's been a gorgeous summer so far, but it's not good for growing things. And we're not using,
It is if you can water them.
So
right. And we're not using chemicals. We're not using fertilizer. So
we have caught 3 small rains up there at the farm.
Okay.
Very
1/10
small
each.
ones, like a 1/10 each, but it's probably been enough, especially since like all the rows from the corn planter are still kind of open.
Yep.
Because I think when they dried out, they kind of opened back up.
They
So
stayed
whatever
right
little
open.
bit of rain is going right down there to the roots. But the main thing is, I did it not just for this, but I drought-proof the food plots because like corn and soybeans need a lot of moisture, but everything else that's in there doesn't. So buckwheat, sunflower, cowpeas especially, sun hemp that I probably I wish I would have put more in now that I see. I didn't think sun hemp would do very good because of that wet, heavy ground, but I mixed in some safflower. That's another one I think that's pretty drought resistant. So most of these plants have deep tap roots, so they can go. They say a cowpea tap root can go 8 feet deep.
No
to
shit.
get water. So you should never lose a cowpea to a drought. So, and now on a wet year they won't do very good, but that's why I mix them with the soybeans because the soybeans like the moisture. So that diversity is good for a lot of different reasons, but it's also good for what we got right now. So even if our corn doesn't do great in our soybeans, which most of that looks fine anyways. Actually,
It looks good. It's just
there's
small.
a plot on that right in front of that buck hut there.
Yeah.
That corn is awesome.
That corn
but
looks
that's like
great.
some of the wettest ground we
It's
have.
over the hill there, yeah.
But it's freaking awesome looking corn there. So that's
and the
gonna
corn
make-
didn't grow all that well in that spot last year,
I
or
don't think
did
I
it?
had corn out that far last year. It was
Not
just in
that
the
far,
front
but
field.
that end, everything was too wet.
Yeah.
And it was a dry year last year.
Right.
So
when you mix,
that tells you how dry it is this year.
when you mix, so our corn did pretty good last year because of how wet it was. So when you mix dry, when you mix corn and soybeans and different things that need the rain with the stuff that doesn't, you're guaranteed to get something good out of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
last year it was a wet spring like this year,
It was
right?
a wet summer too.
Yeah, but then it never rained after like
No,
July or something.
No,
right?
it rained every damn 2 days all last summer. It was so wet in early August, I wanted to roll down buckwheat and plant into it with the corn planter. And the food plots were so wet you could barely walk in them without getting stuck. That was in the first weekend of August.
You would
We
remember.
had to wait another week.
Yeah.
No,
I walked
I
up
don't
there in
remember,
early
like-
August, like a Thursday or Friday in early August, and went, no way, I can't get a tractor or even a 4-wheeler across this.
No shit.
So
Yeah, I
wet.
remember nothing like that. But
Well, different
Well,
people.
we're not deer farmers like Uncle Dallas.
No,
well,
but,
different
like,
people
it
in the
was
area
too wet
said
at the
different
beginning.
things. Like my buddies up in Colesville said, no, we didn't get any rain all summer. Like we had a hard time baling hay, and we just got flooded just time after time, and we get a ½ inch at a time last summer.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that.
It's called parenthood.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what that's called. So kind of switching gears on we talked, it's just food plot talk. What do we got? Anything good on camera?
No, dough eating. We had that.
See that fawn's losing its spots already?
Really?
The one by the pond.
Did you see that picture the other day that on the what was it, the entrance to the field over by Scott's, the corner of Scott's there. And that doe looked like it had a fawn behind it that was like tiny.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
What do you make of that? I almost was wondering if that was a late drop because that thing looked tiny. What do you think?
Yeah, late drop fawn.
Okay, that's it.
Well, it's same gestation period for every deer, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if they get bred a month later than the rest of the deer's going to be born a month later.
Right. But I saw that and I was like, whoa, that's a new fawn.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool to see. You need a drink, AJ? Brad? Are you? Oh, you
for a
got a
newest sip of
farmer's
wine.
can?
Oh, all of them taste good.
So in preparation for tonight, I started listening back to last night. I listened to about 45 minutes an hour of our conversation last year, which was last year's Beers on the Deck was 5 hours long. So
5 hours.
5 hours. It was 2.5 hour parcels. So that's what we've got.
Who was here for 5 hours?
You were.
I was in my truck at camping.
I assumed
in the truck.
I assumed you were at a fire. You were in your truck.
Yeah, we were camping
it
at
was
Four Winds, and I
yeah.
couldn't get the app to download on my iPhone, and I ended up putting it on Jen's.
Because of the safety protocols on your work phone.
No,
What time
because I
did we
ended up
start?
getting it on there.
Yeah. So last year we did. It was kind of fun listening back to it because last year we were getting ready.
Let's go to
AJ, his first Western trip, and so we were talking about kind of our expectations of that, and then talking about kind of like the
I'd like to hear
upcoming.
that.
Yeah, me too. Because I would like to talk a little bit about what last season was because last season was actually it was a grind. It was a grind for all of us, but everybody had a really good season. And on the table here is Dallas's best buck he's ever shot, inches wise, and he shot that with his bow last year. Oh yeah. So our thought here is I think we should pull a buck up. So we got Dallas's up right now.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about the buck, and then you've already measured it, so you know what it scores. But AJ and I haven't had our bucks measured from last year. AJ shot his best buck ever.
Late. After
Yeah.
PA.
So I think we cycle bucks through the table, and we talk some stories, and then we have the Kirsch boys score our bucks for us and see.
And unfortunately, this buck, I don't know
easy.
what everybody's seeing, but
They're seeing what you're seeing on the screen there.
yeah, this is an awesome freaking buck.
It is an awesome buck. So
Like that, it doesn't look like,
no, it looks good.
the best buck
What-
you'd ever killed.
Well,
but
first
it
off,
is.
Danny Boy's on. Can Danny Boy hear us?
Danny,
Yeah, can you hear me?
Danny,
Yeah.
what's up, buddy?
are you naked in your hot tub, Danny?
Show us a picture.
Show us your face.
No, I'm not naked in my hot tub.
Do you need air?
Oh, you've got a puppy working on a squeak toy.
Yeah, old Frank here's working his toys.
Danny Boy named his puppy Frank.
Oh,
Does he got some beans on him?
Not yet.
Some blow hangers?
Not yet.
Old Frank and Beans, we'll call him. How you doing, Danny Boy? How's the Erie County living treating you? I don't think we can associate too much anymore
no,
because
you're
you're
high class.
high class over there.
Surprised I got invited tonight.
You should be. And
What's up, buddy?
Good.
how are things? Good.
Great.
We miss
Loving
you.
life. Yeah. Busy as all hell, like we all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
Nobody told us what parenthood would be like. They said
think
it'd be
they
fun.
did. No, I think they do.
You think they did? I think my theory is, as I go through this, is that other people tell you how great it is just to get you into it so that you can experience the same frustrations that they're
So they're
experiencing.
not the only one.
Correct.
I didn't tell you guys to don't do it.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure I heard it. That I did it.
Yeah, because the process is so much fun.
Well, practice.
Practicing. But then practice becomes game time, and then game time is like if you get like 2 minutes into the first quarter, like
You make it 2 minutes.
the game's over. Yeah. And then you just sit around for 9 months and wait for the next game.
Shit.
Yeah. It's rough. So Danny Boy, you whacked a good one last year, right? Danny.
Yeah.
Every day.
Danny.
Lose me?
Huh?
I'm on.
Okay,
You got me?
we can hear you now.
Are you
No,
focusing?
I don't know what was going on there.
All right, well we're gonna
Yeah, it was a good one. He was
Yeah.
all right.
What are you drinking, Danny boy?
Some Jenny Kolsch.
Jenny Kolsch.
Oh,
I was trying to take an empty out, but we're just gonna.
Well, we're gonna start
another fresh one here.
We're gonna start with Brother Dallas, since actually his buck was the first buck shot in our
Yes.
whole gang.
Yeah, it was, and that's probably the first time in my life that's happened. I'm usually late to the party.
Yeah,
one Colorado buck, but
one Colorado. Well, yes, trigger right. Well, go get your muley buck.
I can get.
We're gonna go chronological. Or you want to go? You want to go first with this?
Talk about this buck. This is the best buck.
Yeah, it is. So give us a run. I think we told this full story on here with the podcast, but
yeah,
that's your best buck, period, inches wise.
Yeah.
What do you end up scoring?
He was 143 and an eighth net or gross, and then he was 133 and an eighth net. So
Just
10
'cause
inches.
he's a 9, it's
and
tough,
actually,
yeah.
he had 9, and his left side is actually a full 10 inches bigger than his right side. So yeah, that's my best buck, and by far my best archery buck. And like you said, we told the whole story, but I'll just say that I was semi-hunting a buck last summer that I call Boots. I was tentatively calling him Boots. Now I definitely got him named that because looks like he's wearing white boots on all his feet and up the front of his legs.
How does it make you feel when you see him wearing those boots?
I feel really good about it.
Yeah.
Get that little tingle.
Yeah.
I picked him up in August last year.
Like he's licking your neck, that kind of tingle.
Stop.
That triggers neck because he can't feel anything
on
on his neck.
Excited here, do you?
No, it's your nuts that he's looking.
I'll show you the big one. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah.
For another day.
It's too early for that.
It's too early. We'll get to that
in
an
about
hour
18
4.
No, about 18 minutes we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So
Anyways.
I'm just going to tell that story to tie it into what's going on with me this year, or I hope that's going on. So the buck that I was after, I spotted him on October 2nd.
Which you never hunt that early.
Right, but I went out on October 1st and had a sighting with a shooter, and 50 yards, a 3-year-old 8-pointer came by me, and I moved my stand 30 yards towards where he came through the next afternoon, and then Boots came through, but in a different direction. He got to within about 100 yards of me.
So is he the 8-point thing?
Yeah, he was a 3.5-year-old 8-pointer last year that I figure scored about 135, which on a 3-year-old is pretty good.
That's big.
So, like I said, I was kind of hunting that deer, even though I had thoughts of him being young. But on the 22nd, I wound up shooting a buck that I thought was him because I didn't get a good look at it. I just saw this buck. I saw this huge frame coming at me and just went into kill mode. You know, I knew it was time. So I got him killed, and when we tracked him down and found him, figured out that, oh, that's not Boots. That's a bigger buck
Oh, he's
that
big.
I have never had on camera until that day. It turns out that at 9:30 that morning, I had him hitting a scrape, and he stunk so bad. I guarantee you, he was just running around all day in the daylight, running circles, just hitting every scrape, pissing in every scrape that he could find. And the last one he came to got him killed.
Well, like, just for context, I mean, is that an 11-inch
Yeah, that's the
tine?
side. That's the side that I saw too.
You know, that's about an 11-inch tine, and then that's 9 or a little better. You know,
yeah.
this side's a little shorter, obviously, like you said.
11 or 12 that time might be.
Yeah, I mean,
got
it's
my measurement tool over here. How about we get that?
wanna put your wiener on it.
That buck came in so fast I didn't have time to get my binoculars up. He was just coming in.
No, you don't look at binoculars. When a buck like that comes in, you just shoot him.
Well, when he was further away, I thought I saw some horns, so I was going to get my binos up, and I just all of a sudden I realized, I'm like, holy shit, that buck is coming at me.
This one's only probably 10.
Here.
Oh. But this one's probably, it's like 11. Just for, you know, it's hard to see, like, on a, like, hard to get context.
Yeah, it's 11.
It's about 11, and then this one's 10. But what a buck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of buck I want to be hunting every year.
That's
So,
the buck you want to come up on at 12:30 at night on a weeknight.
Yeah. That was Friday night.
Was it?
Yeah. Felt like a weeknight for you because you wanted to hunt Saturday morning.
Ah, yeah. That must be it.
So to finish my story about Boots is the moral of that story is that he's still alive. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of him from this year because the bucks at that property, they do the same thing every year. They disappear in mid-May, and they don't come back until generally mid-September. So I won't. Assuming that.
But you know he's alive because you saw him in January,
Yes,
February,
I had him
March, or whatever.
So I lost track of him on December 2nd because I had him 3 times a week on multiple different cameras, 3 to
He's
4
just
times a
crushing
week.
it.
And December 2nd was the last video I had of him, and I didn't pick him back up until like February 2nd. And I had him once with antlers on, and then I had him multiple times without antlers, and I knew it was him because I can identify him by the boots. So I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be hunting that deer this year.
Yeah.
But like I said, unfortunately, I won't know what he looks like. It'll be a big mystery until, I guess they picked him up August 21st or something like that last year, but then not regular again until almost October. So the bucks on that property.
But he was very regular from
He was hammering that. Now,
from September until December, and then he just went
yeah,
gone.
shifted food sources, I assume.
If you end up getting this buck called Boots, you're gonna have to do a full body mount.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You're gonna have to mount him
Or mount his back legs.
while he's warm.
While he's warm.
The last buck I killed in Pennsylvania had white feet like that too. Not as much as this one, but he had a lot of white right above his hooves.
Is that like a fetish for you?
I guess.
It's starting to be.
Hey,
He's got a foot fetish.
if a foot fetish is tied to a monster buck every year, I'm happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to explain yourself, Dallas.
Yeah.
We get it.
No, we're not gonna argue. All right, so Boots is on the plate for this
Yeah,
year.
I mean that's top of the hit list as far as I know. So,
Yep.
really, pretty excited about that.
All right. Well, we're excited too.
Yeah.
So you're gonna crush him.
I mean, I will. If it turns out, there's a lot of things obviously that can go wrong between now and then, but also, I have to, my assessment of the deer has to be correct too. If he's only, I mean, if you only showed me the base, his brow tines and his bases, I would have said he was in his body. I would have said all day long he was a 2-year-old buck. The deer is tiny. He looks like a Texas deer.
But he's 135 inch. It's
yes.
pretty hard to be a.
He has an 8-pointer with short brow tines. His beams are probably 23 or 4 inches long already as a young deer. He's got little mass and little brow tines, but his beams and his tines are just enormous. So
All
that's my assessment of it. We'll see if I'm right. I hope I am. And then, of course, trying to get him killed will be another thing. But
That's simple.
I'm not calling my shot on that or anything. I just hope to be hunting that deer. And I feel like it's a property I've learned and had success with. This will be the 4th season that I've hunted there, so I've learned a lot about how to hunt bucks there, and I feel confident that I can do it. I will say that, like I say, if it all does come together where I'm able to hunt that deer, I will sell out for that deer. I'm going to hunt him.
So this buck came in early to a scrape.
Yeah, 5
October
o'clock.
22nd.
Yeah, October 22nd, 5 o'clock, and that was when it was staying light till almost 7.
So.
And I had him at 9:30 in the morning on a different scrape.
Did you call?
Nope.
So that's just you sitting in a stand that you set at that time.
It was a hang and hunt. I was only in
hunt.
the stand for 10 minutes. I was only half settled in. I didn't, like I said, my binoculars were actually still in my backpack. That's why I was scrambling to get them out to look and see what that deer was, and I realized I better just get my shit
just
together.
stop looking and start
and
shooting.
just try. Yeah, stop looking and start shooting. That's what I like. That, Brian.
Less looking, more shooting.
Yeah.
See, that's why we're good together.
Yeah, but that's the scrape hunting in mid to late October can be phenomenal for that reason. I mean, that's when you see all those scrapes open, and a lot of them are just you can tell that they only hit them that 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
But I had seen a scrape line there before that I really liked, and I actually went to check that scrape, and I said to myself, if that scrape's open, because it was getting late. I mean, I was almost to the point where I was almost gonna hang a stand and go home and come back the next morning because the wind was gonna be the wind was gonna shift overnight. But I said I'm gonna go check that scrape line, and if it's open, I'm gonna hang a stand and sit there. I went and looked. It was open. I sat there 10 minutes and the buck came in.
Jesus.
And he was moving. I mean, that deer, he had to be just running all day. And I talked to a couple of the neighbors and they didn't, or at least guys that hunt in that area, and they had never seen him before either. They said, now I don't know how much they run for trail cameras, but it's like total mystery buck.
It's the way you like it. It's total.
I mean, honestly, I'd rather target a buck and kill him.
Yeah, but either way is good.
Yeah, hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, right? I mean,
I've heard that. You should. It's dangerous to even
pass anything up.
They don't pass up on the first day. What you would.
But yeah.
That's what you're trying to get to. But you're thinking more along.
I don't think we really follow that.
Along the late night.
Yeah.
Theory. Yeah. I mean, it gets to be this time of night, Trigger, and you and me are just absolute creeps. That's what it comes down to.
Don't pass anything up.
No. So that's Dallas's big buck from last year. You whacked and stacked a pile of does, had a good season, and that's what at the end of the day, that's what we love shooting deer. We love eating meat. That's the big
deer.
thing. So
It's all about the camaraderie.
Yeah. And it's about this, it's about having this thing that we all are passionate about that brings us all together over and over again. But, so AJ, that was last season was a big season for you. You went on your first, and I don't know if somebody wants to pass the headset over to AJ.
I'll give him this.
And let him.
He can take mine. I need a drink.
Brad needs a drink. There's roast beef sandwiches inside if anybody wants one. So, we sat down here last year to do this podcast, and the big part of the beginning discussion was you getting ready to go on your first Western trip. So, I guess let's start there. Let's run down through your first experience in Colorado to do a high country mule deer trip. I know you were very much looking forward to it.
Sounds a lot like Brian's first trip to Colorado.
It was very similar.
So it didn't go as planned.
Next up.
They never do.
No.
And it's
don't
funny.
Know what's going to happen.
That was a key point when we were talking about I was laughing when I was listening back because we were like, we don't know what's going to go wrong, but something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long for something to go wrong on our trip. Like literally. Didn't take any time.
No, I didn't even get on the plane and it went wrong. So yeah, I got food poisoning, I think, before I even got on the plane.
I didn't think AJ was going on the plane.
Yeah.
No, we're sitting in the plane.
COVID. And I'm talking to Billy like, I think AJ's dead.
Brian's coming down. I'm buckled.
They're saying we're gonna take off. Like, what are we doing with AJ?
Well, I made it halfway down. I made it halfway into the plane.
Yeah, we're right there. No, we were like 4 people from the plane and in the runway, and you're like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm like,
ran to the bathroom.
I'm not losing. I don't know what to do.
So that was a rough 3-hour flight once I got back on the plane.
Oh, 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the next
mostly
7
in the
after
bathroom.
That. Huh? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. all the way there.
He was getting up every half hour.
Turn the plane around.
Yeah. So then we left Buffalo. What our flight was at like 6? No, it got delayed. It was like 7 something.
Like close to 8, yeah.
But that puts us in Denver at like 9, correct?
Yeah, with a 3-hour, yeah.
We had a hotel room rented up in the mountains so we could be there and wake up in the morning. And then we land, and the rental car situation was a nightmare. It was 3 hours at the rental car place.
So it was what?
And AJ defecated like
took up residency in the bathroom.
We were
petting his forehead.
Yeah, with a wet towel.
Drooling, dry heaving, and shitting for
Yeah.
And I mean for
not good.
So
go ahead. No, you got.
I was just gonna say. So we got into the car finally at 1 o'clock to drive.
At least 1, 2, maybe it was 2.
I felt like a 5-hour.
I think it was like
drive.
1 o'clock. But I mean, it's 3 o'clock at home.
Yeah.
We're 2 hours back.
Yep. So then we got an hour and a half drive.
Yep.
To get to our hotel.
And we're driving. We're not even like 30 minutes from the airport. And AJ's like, dude,
pull over.
I gotta go.
I think I need you to pull over.
But
do you need us to pull over or do you want us to pull over? I think I need you to pull over.
AJ's in the back seat.
If you need us to pull over, tell us
fetal
I
position.
need it. It's
motherfucker. If you ask me one more time.
Well, there's nowhere to pull over now. We can't just pull over anywhere.
Remember when we went to Canada, me and you and Tard, and you guys, I had to pull over before we got to the Peace Bridge and let you guys jump over the freaking the median and piss over there.
Allegedly.
Then we went into business in
Oh,
Canada.
Brad was there too.
Oh, we went west on the 90 instead of east.
Whoops.
That'll
I think we
happen.
had enough beer. But anyways, so we're ripping through the mountains, and there's nowhere to just stop. And AJ's like, I think I don't feel good. Just tell us, do you not? Like, just say,
Like,
I
how
have to
serious is
stop
this?
or I don't. And he's like, I think I'm all right. Nope, gotta stop.
Now.
So the first place, the first place we stopped was right by where if anybody's familiar with I-70, when you come up out of Denver and you get up past Golden and you get up like maybe you're at 8,000 feet ish. It's that first big climb, and you get up there and AJ's like, gotta go. So we pull over the side of the road and AJ just like disappears over the side of the road.
He's gone.
And it's 2 a.m. Like, we have no idea. And you come back to the car. We load up and we made it to the tunnel. We made it to the Eisenhower Tunnel.
I remember the tunnel.
Yeah. And AJ did his business there again. And then we made it the final trek to the hotel. And we get to the hotel and
What was it? 2:30. It was like
It was
4
like-
by the time we got settled in, I thought.
yeah, I think I think we got like 3 hours of sleep that night.
I thought it was like 4 by the time we got in our.
All right.
It was bad.
It was bad. It was not good. So everything started off not ideal.
It
And
wasn't good for us, but it was.
not good for him.
AJ was just kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So it really took me 3 days to recover, right? I went to the ER the next
So we
morning.
got there Friday. Kind of Friday. It was
Yeah.
actually Saturday because it was so late. And then,
Saturday, we went to the ER.
yep, me and you. So yeah, him and Rob went up in the mountains.
Yep.
Me and you took a nice little cruise to the ER.
Dropped you off later that day, right, to go up?
Yeah.
And then I stayed
So
at the
what-
hotel room another 2 days.
So it took 4 hours. We went to the ER. I hung out with you a little bit. I cruised around the roads a little bit.
Got me set.
I only hung out with you a little bit. I mean, there's nothing. It just sucked. There was nothing.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything anyway, so
But I didn't eat anything that day. I took a ride down the one road. I got a couple of vitamin waters. You know what I mean? I had a
Yeah.
granola bar. I'm not ready to eat. AJ ain't feeling good. I want to be in the mountains, but I'm not sure I can even get up in there. And I know I'm going to go up in myself.
Right.
Well,
Yep.
no, I didn't know that yet. Because I was trying to figure out what you want to do. But we were there till
yeah,
what?
but we kind of figured you're going to go up that afternoon. You're going to
Yeah.
make sure I was fine and then go.
Right.
So
by the time we all got up in there and
But you guys
everybody
left
got
at what?
situated.
7 in the morning or something?
Nah, well, whatever. It
Yeah,
was
a little later. And
8-ish, whatever.
And then you dropped me off at 2,
Yeah, I would say I think we left around 12:30.
and then back to the hotel.
Grab your crap.
And you
then
said you were
go.
good to go, and I'm like, well,
Yep.
all right. But man, that is a shitty hike in.
So yeah, the hike in for me sucked.
Well,
So I was still dehydrated by the time
Yeah,
I decided to go up.
That could be the worst part of it all, is that you're dehydrated.
You're behind the 8 ball.
Yep.
But so I went to the BFLO hydration.
Here in Buffalo
Yeah.
before we
Yeah.
left.
The day that we flew out, I got an appointment on my lunch break. Took a little longer lunch, cost me $175, and they gave me.
You had the anal one, right?
I didn't think you were going to tell anybody.
Well, no, but I think it's important because some people are interested in that.
It's
so.
an enema.
Yeah.
You just
You
kind of
just pull your legs around your ears,
And
and
just take it.
they just right in there
The things we'll do, huh? For deer hunting.
for deer hunting. Yeah, we're going high country deer hunting, young lady.
She's like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Well, I'm hoping to kill a big freaking buck." Well, what's that mean? Well, I need to be high. I gotta get high up there.
You think it helped?
Fuck yeah. So here's the thing. I really don't know if it helped, but think about this. They put 2 huge bags in as an IV. So think about it. If you drink half a gallon of water, what are you going to do? You just piss
it
and
out.
piss and piss. So they put all this shit in with all these vitamins and minerals and shit like that. And then they gave me a shot in each arm, like a B12 and something else. I don't know what else, but it was just all vitamins. So they gave me all that stuff. I went back to work for a couple hours, went home. We flew
Got
out.
ready to go. Yep.
Like, I didn't piss it out. So they say, like, if you drink, you can drink all the water in the world, but you need vitamins and shit. You need, like, minerals and vitamins in it for your body to absorb it. So if you're just drinking straight water all day, every day, it's just kind of like flushing your system out. So that's the way they explain it. I don't know. I thought it was amazing that I didn't piss for just hours and hours and hours. Like, I didn't pee. I just peed like normal. But they put freaking
2 bags in you.
2 big bags, you know. So I'll do it again next time. But
take my route. They put 2 bags of me too.
Yeah. So yeah, you dropped me off. It was like 80 fucking degrees.
Yeah.
Man. Luckily the whole bottom of that trail you dropped me off at, the first 2 miles, was in timber.
Mm.
But man, it was hot out. It was brutal. That's the only benefit of going up like early in the morning, or, you know, when it's dark out or something like that. So, but yeah. I struggled too. You know, it's just I was in the best shape I've ever been in, and man, that trail, the first 2 miles, I only gained 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
The next 3.5 miles, the next 3 or whatever it was like 3,000 feet. It was just.
It's straight up.
That
You're
trail.
Just climbing.
That trail was brutal till about. The trail was okay till about 10:05.
Yeah.
But the last.
You're just basically stepping rock to rock to rock to rock.
Yeah.
It's a heavily used hiking trail, but it's.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's a good trail.
You are gaining elevation with every step.
So the last 1,000 feet you gained in, like, you know, if you look straight down on a map, I don't know if it's 1/8 of a mile, but it was probably a mile of walking.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I could hardly set my tent up.
I mean,
I was just up there growling and groaning and laying on the ground. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink.
You talking about the first year you went?
No, this was last year.
Oh.
It's every time Brian goes anywhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of growling and groveling going on.
Oh, I mean, I got up there. Tard helped me carry my pack the rest of the way up, and fuck, I couldn't. I
was just going to say that. Thank God for Sean, because, man, he carried half my pack.
That's not the first time we've said that.
No. That guy is Johnny on the spot, man.
Yep.
Mr. T.
Miss him in Pennsylvania.
I also learned not to pack so heavy, too.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a lot of extra.
That's only one way you can learn, is what you take and what you
learn from experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that comes with the territory. We've all been there.
If Sean's with me again, why do I care?
What was So what was one thing you took on that trip that was never touched? That was laughable.
Second box of bullets.
Yeah.
Or the first day.
No, that was.
I remember excessive food. I had.
You
way
did
too
have
much
way
food.
too much food. Yeah.
Like enough for all 3 of us to last a week. But
I'll tell you what, I took less food than normal, and I was hungry. I've never been hungry.
Those guys we met were
they bailed us.
outstanding. They hooked us up with
I
all
still
those
have some
meals.
of that food.
They were good meals too.
Yeah, they're
the peak refills.
What kind of? They were
peak.
Peak, yeah.
Yeah. Those guys were great. But so what was your? I mean, we talked about getting there, but like, what was your? I mean, how was that experience for you? That was my third time. Brian's fourth time.
That
Fifth
was
time.
my fifth. Yeah.
Fifth time. That's right.
2 in 62, and then 2 in that.
Yeah.
Or 3 in that general area.
Yeah. It was a good year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hooked. I'll go back every year if I have the opportunity.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like, we generally, we had a good friggin' time in camp. I mean.
Oh, the nights, I mean, we had bonfires every night. We had great times.
Everybody's giving each other shit.
Yeah.
Like, we are having, like, to me, that is as good a time as you can get.
And we were seeing game. Like
we were.
We weren't in them like we normally we were
Yeah.
expecting to, but
it ended up being a tough hunt. Like I had a way bigger buck than that. Opening morning, first light.
I thought for sure opening morning the deal was gonna be closed.
But it was about 185 yards, and I had open sights.
Yeah.
And I didn't even try and stop it. I know it was a way better buck than that. It just
You gotta warm the barrel up, Trigger.
So you got to think about it. I miss. We never see a deer the rest of the trip.
Right.
It's because I missed.
I
kill it. We don't see another buck.
But you killed
I'm
one.
okay with that.
Yeah, that's not a terrible situation.
I don't care.
Right.
No, I do. But you know what I mean? It's just like.
Well, that's a good point.
So it's a tough, and then you wound one, or what do you do? But I'm pretty sure, like, I should have just stopped him and shot him.
Yeah.
He was hard horn too, and that was the first day.
So my first night, we get up there. Brian helps me set up my tent. I was
AJ
too
was-
sore to even move.
He was purple.
Yeah.
He
So
was having a hard time.
before
just thinking.
before going over the pass, I thought we were close. I said, "Shot, oh yeah, we're almost there, right?" And he just laughs, and just points to the pass. He goes, "No, it's up." Over.
And then another mile and a half after that. Yeah.
Because
So I was hurting.
because you came the other
He
way.
came-
You
Yeah.
came the same way Rob and I
He
did.
came
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trigger. God. now I have to edit things.
What did I say?
Just no words.
Oh yeah.
No words of actual places. Okay. Fuck you.
Colorado.
Don't touch me.
But anyway, the first night, everyone else goes out for their night hunt, and I'm just too tired, so I sit at camp.
You're hurting.
Yeah, I was just hurting.
I
So-
wanted him to go out. He was hurt.
That was Saturday night.
He just was sitting by his tent, looking at the ground.
Yeah, I could. But I had enough energy to make a meal, so I made a meal. I walked down the path next to our tents. I don't know, 200, 300 yards. Sit there, eat my meal, just glass a little bit.
By the creek.
Yeah.
So you got water.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I walk back to my tent, and there's 2 bucks walking through our tent.
Oh.
My muzzle loader sitting at my tent.
And that
unloaded.
was
Unloaded.
No, it was loaded.
Oh, it was loaded.
I had it loaded. It was just sitting there.
that was something we talked about on last year's show. Was
Yeah.
that we could easily shoot a buck in camp, and I was laughing. Right. I mean,
So-
it's essentially
so
what.
literally where I was standing, I could have shot it, and it would have fallen on Bill's tent.
And if you missed, you might have
It would
just
have
hit
shot a hole in my tent. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, sorry about your tent.
Dick in your hand, huh?
So at that point, I didn't know what to do.
There was 2 bucks,
There
right?
was 2 bucks.
2 little,
So
like a,
they weren't
there was
big,
spike
but
in
they
a
were
4
shootable.
corner or something, right?
So I'm like, what do I do? So I kind of slowly just keep on walking to my tent to see if I can get in my tent. By the time I got close enough to my tent, they just kind
I
of
swear
pushed, bumped down further.
When I was out west, those yearling muleys are the dumbest animals alive. They just like
That's pretty much the one
So-
kept on looking back, look at me a little
Yeah.
bit, but
So we get back from hunting, and he's like, they walked right through. And I'm like, shoot one? He's like, seemed too easy. Well, it wouldn't have happened.
yeah, I didn't come out and just say, hey, I left camp without my.
I went to have some dinner and talk to Rachel, and when I came back, the deer were by my tent. And I'm like,
I gotta say,
you should have shot it. Because we were both planning, you're like, if I see a buck, I'm shooting a buck.
Yeah,
and
first
like,
thing
why wouldn't you?
shootable.
And we talked, and you're like, oh, it seemed like I didn't want to burn my tag, and it seemed too easy. And it's like, I don't know.
yeah,
You should have shot it. But
it seems too easy until it's not.
yeah, well, then it's Thursday morning, and we haven't seen a deer since. And
Yeah, a deer.
a deer. We haven't seen a deer since. Well, no, we hiked over the pass Wednesday. Me and you went trout fishing Wednesday during the day.
Spear fishing.
Spear trout fishing. We failed. We hiked 3 miles down
For some
round trip.
sardines.
Yeah, and we didn't get anything.
I was so
Then we
hopeful
go-
that day.
Oh, very. And that was the day Slicky was leaving. So then we go up and over the pass, which blows.
Yeah. There's
It
no
just
good way.
blows.
No.
You guys do better than me, but man, that just
But it
blows.
is. It's just like it doesn't seem that far, and then you look up at it, and then you start walking, and it's like,
I'm not getting closer.
have I
It
gone
is-
anywhere?
It is undoable. I mean, man, it blows.
It blows, but it's
12,000 feet. It just, you're just like picking, like,
The views, though, you can't beat
No,
that
you
view from
can't.
the top there.
no. Both of those passes are just
they're
breathtaking.
awesome. So we, on your way out, we walked with you.
That's right. And then you guys were going to check out that other side.
And we did, and AJ saw a couple deer,
2 of them came up behind me.
and there was a little buck, right?
Yeah.
So we get back to camp late that night, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, I mean, it was
Because
dark
we
for a
hunted
while.
till dark, and we had to hike up and
Back.
over the pass back to camp. It's late. Tard just got back in that day, and he brought all sorts of food for us.
Oh, that's right.
So 9 o'clock,
You guys had like fairly fresh food to eat, right?
he brought fresh food in that day. He just got in while we were hunting.
Potatoes,
Potatoes, chicken. What do we have?
I put it in that cooler.
some of your deer. Didn't you cook up some of your meat?
That was before that. He brought pork.
So that was
Wednesday night.
That was Wednesday night, and
When you
Thursday
left-
morning I was flying out. I was in Breckenridge.
So you walked out Wednesday
Right.
over the ridge
Right.
with us. The ridge. What'd you
Ridge.
call it?
That's fair. Let's call it a ridge.
Fuck that ridge.
It's a big ridge. It's firm.
So what were we? 2 hours from camp by the time
At dark. when we-
hit?
yeah. I mean, we were hauling ass, and it
it's a
took an hour and a
shitty
half.
back, but he did actually see some deer. So we get back at 9 o'clock. You know, we want to be back up out at 6. Me and Tard had a couple pretty big drinks. He made us dinner, pork. I don't know what he made, potatoes, shit like that. So
Yeah.
we sat up there, had a couple drinks, and my alarm went off Thursday morning. I'm like,
nope.
Screw this. And I'm like, my alarm's going off, and I see AJ walk by with his light by my tent, and I'm like, I gotta get out of bed.
I was really hoping he wasn't going to get up.
Yeah. So he went by the tent, and I'm like, you know what? I'm hunting right from here. So I, like 8 minutes, I can throw my shit on, and I just run up the mountain to the opposite way we've been hunting.
So
And I'm like,
pretty much where you shot.
Well, the opposite
is where I was sitting eating my dinner when the two came.
The opposite way that you've been hunting, but I had been going that
but
way
you've
every
been
morning.
going that way. Yep.
Right.
So I run right up this ridge, and I get to the top of the ridge, and I look down, and there's like a couple doe, and it's too dark to shoot. Like, I got up in time.
Yeah.
You just hunted really close.
I just was only like 400 yards from camp. I just ran up this ridge 400 yards from camp, and I get settled. I get my pack off, gun ready, and I look down, there's deer below me. I haven't seen deer in 4 days.
Yeah.
And we're 7 days into this hunt. Or I haven't seen deer in 5 days. I don't know. It's been a while. And I'm like, oh. They're like 200 yards. And it's too dark. I put my open sight freaking muzzle on. I can't even, no way. You know, I put it down. I can see them. Put my binos on. I can see them. They're does. Then the next two are forkhorns. I see a forkhorn. I'm like, oh, you're going to die. Give me some daylight, you know. Then the third one was a buck, and it comes through. It's a really, really tall forkhorn. And I'm like, this buck is not getting away from me. But they're going down the mountain right towards camp.
I know exactly the
And
little
I'm
draw
like,
you're talking about.
You got to be kidding me. So I get on the backside of that ridge. I peel off of that, and they're already looking at me. But I just, like, slid off the back of the ridge and freaking ran right to the trail by camp. I was, like, 70 yards from camp. And I found a log, and I laid on it. And I'm just waiting. I'm like, well, these deer are going to come right down that ridge, like the valley. They were in the valley. I'm like, I'm shooting the first forkhorn that comes through here. You know, we haven't seen a deer in 5 days. I'm waiting for him. I hear the doof, 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 doof.
Yeah, when
The
muleys
thuds.
run, it's like so obvious. Yeah.
So actually, I was sitting Indian style on a log, and I hear that thudding, and it was right from where I walked from. So I swing my ass around. It's a big doe, a forky, and then like a good
said
buck,
one
and I
time.
just pulled the hammer. He stopped at 60 yards, facing me, just crushed him. Like, just got the brown and the, you know. Just kind of got lucky. I didn't think I hit him.
But
I didn't think I hit him. He turned around, he ran like 15 yards, stopped on the hill, and he started wobbling.
Right.
And I'm like,
And you're over there reloading.
oh, I'm reloading. Fuck yeah. And by the time I reloaded, he just scooted into the trees. 'Cause I didn't even think I hit him. When I shot,
Yeah, right.
60 yards open sight muzzleloader, I'm sitting Indian style, and I just wung it over, pulled the hammer, and dropped it, you know? And he went 15, 20 yards. I start reloading. I see him wiggling his one leg. And just as I got loaded, he made it into the trees, and he just flopping. And I ended up shooting a couple more times.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
so that day was the most deer I saw too. I had
They must have all come
two or
back.
three doe
They
above
came
me,
over
two below
Yeah.
me.
the pass.
Well,
the one
so
pass, yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, AJ, but my last morning, Wednesday morning, I was sitting up on that pass.
Yeah,
And those bucks tried to come over, and I was sitting like in the wide open on top of that pass, up against a rock pile.
Yeah.
And they came over and they saw me, I saw them, and they went right back to where they came from. But there was like 8-10 bucks together.
Jesus.
So like it could have been that same group of bucks. This buck could have easily been in there. There was a ton of this, 4x4, just nice representative of a Colorado muley. So who knows? They may have just gone back down on that side and then came back over the next morning or the next night,
But it's like, I see him flopping, and I'm just like, no way in my mind I hit him. I just did the wing. It was like bird shooting, and my sights. It was still dark, like in my sights. But it was probably actual legal sun up, which you can shoot a half hour before.
Yeah.
But it's just like you're
left.
It just doesn't work that good.
No.
Even though you can shoot with open sights, they just don't do any justice when the sun isn't up.
No.
Like over the mountain.
No. It's really difficult.
So they just kind of blurred, and I just timed it just right. And I hit him right between the neck and the shoulder, head on at like 60 yards. He ran a little bit, and he was flopping. I shot him again. It went right by his neck and out his other shoulder. Like I hit him twice in the front end, really solid, and they just kept flopping. And I took another hunk off him.
Yeah.
And it's like he was probably dead on. He was dead on the first one. He didn't go anywhere. But it's like if he would have left that spot and ran downhill into the dark timber,
it could get real.
It'd have been a rodeo.
Yeah.
Like I would have shot every bullet I had at him.
Yeah. No, in those situations, but that's the way it is. Anything with a gun. And we'll get to that with Brad, but you just keep shooting until you know they're not.
But that's the thing. When you know you hit them,
yeah,
you have to keep shooting.
You have to keep shooting.
If you stop, you're an idiot. If you lose that buck and you didn't keep shooting,
yeah, if you've been a deer
you're
hunter
an idiot.
And that thing's still moving,
yeah,
and you stop shooting and you can get a shot off at it, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
because the animal's tough as they get.
And they're running on adrenaline. I mean, you don't.
No,
with a bow.
And when they go downhill, just in PA or Colorado, they can go freaking half a mile.
Yeah, and if you're
not
picking
leave
up
blood
a blood trail and leaves, you could.
So I just kept smoking them.
Yeah,
I only hit him twice out of 3 times. Well, I hit him all 3 times.
I was pretty disappointed in Bill last year when I went and tracked that doe with you.
I was very disappointed in myself.
And you're like, it stood here, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm like,
why didn't you shoot again?
And I'm looking at where the doe was, and I'm like, you couldn't see it? He's like, no, I could see it.
Well, we know why. My scope was loose. I was missing by feet.
Hey, you got to put them out there.
That doe was a blessing, because if I didn't miss her, I never would have gotten my gun sighted back in. I never would have shot my buck in PA.
That's true.
That's a blessing.
That's true.
It's very true.
So that's not comparable to a whitetail, because they're a totally different animal.
5-4
but
or
that's
5-4?
About the same. It was in the 144. It's
yeah.
Like Dallas's whitetail was originally, when we scored, it was in the 144. Once you got it officially scored, it lost a little bit, but this is like a medium size. It's just like a nice.
It's a beautiful 4x4.
It's just like a 3-year-old.
Exact representation of what you would expect from a
like
good Colorado buck.
If you were going to hope to go to Colorado and shoot a buck, I want to shoot a bigger one. I guess I have.
You have, yeah.
But I'd like to shoot a bigger one than that.
Right. But it's pretty awesome.
So this isn't like, oh my God, most amazing thing, but muzzleloader and all that, and it's pretty cool.
But we went up into that area, and we had high expectations of getting into the deer. And we did, but there was also new pressure that we hadn't experienced in there.
So that
but we still had opportunity. You guys were deer hunting. I was elk hunting. I saw elk almost every day. It was very difficult to get to where they were.
Yeah.
I never got to where they were. But that hunt
was cool.
Yeah, I mean that hunt was outstanding. The only thing I regret is not like scouting more for deer. Like I was thinking about elk, because I had an elk tag obviously in my bow, but
we're used to you not.
Yeah,
thinking
we
of your
don't worry about
friends.
you.
Yeah,
You're a good camp
So
buddy.
the one, and I'm seriously, I'm mad at myself because the one thing I talked about in the beers on the deck last year was me going up and venturing above camp, and I really wish I would have done that because that area I glassed it up.
Where I decided to go the last that Thursday morning.
Yeah,
but I didn't make it there.
You didn't make it. You
I
didn't
made
have
it
to.
up, and I was going to glass that, and I was going to just do whatever it took.
Yeah.
Because we got 2 more days. You know, me and AJ had to walk out Saturday morning sometime.
Right.
And it's Thursday morning. It's like we had a good hunt that just went like this. And it's like, all right, we got to make something happen. You know, the first day of a 10-day hunt, you're not going to go hit that side hill because it's not practical.
No.
But on the second to last day,
You're gonna go.
what's the worst case scenario? You spook a buck?
Right.
No. Get up there.
So next time we will venture into that basin again, no doubt about it.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we will.
So I'm pretty happy to bring a buck like that home. You know, it's like.
Okay.
So we got AJ. AJ's getting his Uncle Dallas is scoring AJ's buck here. That's your gun buck, right?
Yeah. Yep. So just packing out your mule deer too. I just like that whole process.
Yeah. Well, we can't get a hold of Tard. It's just me, you, and Tard up there at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And Tard was
because
over in his spot.
Robin Billy left.
Yep.
We can't get a hold of Tard. I'm not sure if we want to take the deer out. I want to take the deer out, but I'm thinking maybe we can hang him in the cool shit. Take him out the next day. I get a hold. We had cell phone reception actually. I called Dad and he's like, "You have to get that meat out."
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't know. I had like a lot of anxiety. You know, it's like I don't know what to do. Like I'm trying to enjoy the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're obviously going to butcher them. We know that. But then I'm thinking, like, do I need to...
Do we keep them up there for
do we
the
just
day?
keep them
Or
up there? Do I take them out the next day, or do I take a load out, you stay up? You know, I don't know. I called Dad, and he's like, you have to get that meat out. I'm like, oh, man. You know, but AJ took... You had a hind, a front, I think AJ had a hind in the front. We left the backs and a backstrap. So he had a hind, a front, and a backstrap.
Yeah.
AJ's a man.
AJ, yeah.
So we left the backstrap up there.
So I
and we
recovered
left
by that day.
You were recovered.
So we left both tenderloins in one backstrap. So AJ took a front quarter, a hind quarter, and a backstrap. Luckily, I hit the one front quarter twice. And we picked, about a pound of meat off it? I mean, it was destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much there.
It was disgusting. I hit it twice. Which ended up being okay.
That happens.
Well, you got to kill a deer.
You gotta. You were there for one reason.
So I only took a hind in the head. And AJ took a hind, a front, and a backstrap. And, I mean, you should see these freaking hind quarters. They're huge.
Oh, I know.
I took a picture of the one. I mean, it's like...
Hind off a muley is...
Holy shit.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, the amazing part to me is it's like knowing what AJ did that day. AJ that day packed out with you guys.
Yeah, we didn't even go out together. We both went out separate.
Oh, that's something else I have to say. I was a little nervous on is going up by myself, never being up there.
He went over the pass to the truck. I went out the other way.
That's right. You went out, got the truck, drove around to Brian.
Yeah.
I took a 10-minute break. I thought I was going to be a couple hours ahead of him.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there 10 minutes sucking some water. He pulls up.
Yeah.
Like he had like a 2 mile further walk.
Yeah.
That was my goal though.
And
to be honest with you, I was booking trying to beat you.
That walk down is a long
that's a
the
long
walk
way.
up is long, but the walk down is just as long, if not longer, especially if you got weight on your back.
Weight on your back and the gradual decline on your knees.
Oh
just
man, it
pounding
kills
on
my
your
knees,
knees.
and that's why I don't like that one.
Yeah.
So I went straight down, and then it's
you
gradual.
just right.
2.7.
So, but he's 6 miles from the pass.
Right.
But then we're another mile and a
Quarter,
Yeah.
mile and a half.
and then I'm only a little over 5 miles to drop straight down.
Yeah.
So it's a lot steeper at the beginning, but there's steps.
Right.
So it doesn't hurt my knees as much. That other trail hurts my knees a lot going down. It's
Yeah.
just it's too many miles of 30-degree angle, just stomping
Agreed.
my knees.
No, I totally agree.
So I like the other trail. The other trail's a little gnarlier.
Yeah,
I
but
still like it.
It's the last.
It's the
not
last
even
mile.
The third. Yeah,
It's
it's
the
like
last
the last
mile.
mile
It's
is
just-
gnarly.
it's
Besides that,
just-
it's a really nice trail.
Yeah,
though.
once you hit 11,000 feet, that trail says.
There's a couple
Or
of
10.5. It says.
there's a couple of avalanche chutes
Yeah.
right there that
It's
So,
washed out a trail.
so you super impressed in you being able
Yeah.
to do that. That's something I'm not even sure. Knowing I've done that hike out, especially with weight on your back. I've done that. I cannot imagine going out and then coming back in. And you did that day. You were like a man on fire.
He did
because
like
Brian,
14 miles that day.
Right.
But I was shot. My whole plan was to get back up there to hunt that night. I get back up there around 3. I'm like, oh, perfect. I'll go. I'm just going to lay down for a half hour. I don't think I got back up.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't make the hunt
truth
that
comes
night.
out.
So I feel like a piece of shit because I get down there and it takes me 4 hours to go to the butcher and figure life out. And it's 4:30.
Yeah, you stayed
and
in
I'm
town.
like, I got to get back up the mountains. I'm talking to Dad again. I'm like, I don't have enough time.
There's no way.
And I'm shot. It was like 4:30 by the time I went all the way there and back. And I get back in town and I'm like, you know what? I found a hotel. Found one that was close
Yeah.
to a restaurant.
Yeah.
I took Tard's truck like the 1/8 of a mile to the restaurant. Had a Reuben.
Dude.
Handful of 7.7s.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and
Dude,
just engorged myself.
It's so funny because it's like I was defeated. I was defeated on that. I wasn't even within rifle range of an elk.
Yeah.
I was in rifle range, but I was not in muzzleloader range of an elk. But I got back. We were sitting at camp on Wednesday midday, and I booked an Airbnb in town.
Yep.
And I got back to town. I'm all by myself, and I went to the brewery, and I sucked down a couple beers, and then I go and I went to the bar, and they had the Bills game on from the previous Sunday, and I drank. I had 4 or 5 drinks, and I had 2 half-pound burgers. I ate the first one, and just devoured it. And the lady, and I was just, it's a weeknight during the fall. Like, this is not a busy time of year in the mountains, and I'm at like a, it kind of seems like it should be a happening bar, and there's like nothing. It's like locals, and the bartender comes back over, and I go, "Can I get another one of those burgers?" And she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, I could eat the asshole out of a freaking
anything
right now. Do you have any assholes?
You name it, I'll eat it.
So I ate that entire. It was a bison burger, and I ate the entire second one, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I was paralyzed. I went back to the apartment and just collapsed, vegged out. But I was so freaking hungry after.
I feel like I eat good in the mountains. When you get out, you're like, I need
anything.
We had the best cheeseburger.
Me and AJ get out. So when we actually had to leave on Saturday,
yeah.
I'm like, AJ, we gotta get some food. What do we do? What do you want? What do you want? We're like, burger. So we're both like,
It's
yeah,
always a burger. Like
burger. So I'm like, where should we go? He's like, I don't know. So we're Googling, ripping down 70.
Just something close, something on the way.
Something about a burger, and we come up with Smash Burger, and we're like, I don't know, screw it. We pull in. Oh, dude. We both could have stayed. We could have made our new residence there. We got Smash Burger with tater tots and a beer, and we were just like grunting. And AJ, I don't even think I opened my shit up, and AJ was gone. Just like,
AJ just inhaled it.
The shit was. We've never had anything like it.
Isn't it funny? Like those meals, like that's the stuff you're.
Would you have a Fat Tire?
Yeah, I had a Fat Tire beer. And
I had a Coors short neck bottle of Coors.
The beer was gone, I think, before we even had our meal.
And the first shower you have too after coming out of the mountains. I don't think I've because the water was so cold up there.
Oh, you couldn't. You
I
put
didn't-
that on your nuts?
I didn't. The first
Sean did like the first day I was up there, the first full day. I'm like, you
Yeah,
fucking crazy?
Well, he's a man.
He's a man.
38-degree water. Really?
I'm bundled up in my puffer. He's walking by me in a pair of shorts and flip flops.
Yeah. Bare chested.
Well, he's
with
a
those
man.
same green shorts he's wore for
We're a boy.
14
He's a man.
years.
So that's.
Yeah,
but
he-
anyways, I mean the trip to Colorado, like AJ, it's always fucked up.
Oh yeah.
And,
There's something's always going to happen. You have no clue what it's going to be.
But I'll tell you what, sitting around the campfire, me, you, Tard,
Yep.
AJ, Rob.
When Rob, so on the way up, on the way up, Rob and I shot the.
Yeah, you got
Rob shot the grouse.
Oh my God, that was
and
good.
Rob cooked them. He made skewers. Like that was fantastic. It was awesome.
But we always talk about it's all about the camaraderie and shit, and we bust balls and do this and that. But I mean, I am telling you, there is no much more fun than sitting around the five of us with nothing within 6 miles in
Just a
3,000 feet, except for a fire and whatever the hell we have on our back. And I'm telling you, like, man,
It's just nothing better.
there is nothing better other than finding out that all your coworkers just got COVID that you were just with, and it's just like,
But you're in the mountains. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, the second day I was up there, I got a text from my boss saying this, and this person just tested positive that I was with the day before I left. And I'm like, no.
Don't do this.
I can't get fucking
Don't take
COVID
me
up
now,
here.
Jesus.
They're not going to let me fly home, That was fine. But,
Why would you want to fly home? What were you thinking about?
well, I don't know. I was thinking that's the right thing to do.
Oh, okay.
But
you have to stay up there hunt for another 10 days.
Someday I.
So, moral of the story, Colorado good.
Yeah.
Home.
You should have told your boss, yeah, you know what, I got COVID.
Yeah, I'm gonna need another 10 days,
I'm
sir.
gonna need another 10 weeks
Yeah.
because
Got COVID.
they won't let me fly back. But I mean, man, life is good when you're up there. It's a little homesick.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
But
that's impossible not
I
to
really,
have that.
I really enjoy going up, with you, and I mean, you were a fucking machine.
AJ's a machine too.
AJ wasn't feeling good. He's still twice the man I am. I mean, it's just nice going up with guys. Like
It
that,
is.
It's like
I get a little bitchy and crabby, just like I was today. I
is that odd?
no,
for
that's
anybody?
that's just me. I get cranky. Everybody knows that.
I tell it like it is too.
Yeah.
Shit, I can't breathe. I mean,
But like we all,
12,300 feet. It fucking blows.
it does. But we all like.
Tell her how it is. You told me you're not going over that pass. He goes, I'm going this
Fuck
way. I don't give a
that
fuck how you're
pass.
going.
I'm taking my meat out this way. And AJ goes, all right, well, I'll take it this way and I'll go get the truck. And I'm like, all right, I'm going this way. And
But we all hunt so well together. Like, and I think that's the thing. Like, we've got such a good group. We have our core group of guys of what's it, 8 or 10 of us that
but we can
at any
trust
time
each other. And we have our issues, and I'm gonna bust your balls all night long. And
yeah,
but we can freaking
right
hunt together. We can camp together, like.
And we
I don't know.
Little like here and there we go and we have these like larger trips. Like we go to PA and we get these larger groups.
Who's
and
killing all the deer?
It's the same consistent number of people.
Slick Willie.
Yeah.
Brother Dallas.
Right.
I slide in just here and there. Bradley.
Brad gets one every year.
Bradley's, he's got a little bit of going on. But it's not coincidence. I can guarantee you it is not coincidence. I hate to be, you don't want to be like cocky, but it is not.
Yeah. But where I was going with that point is the fact like we have this core group of guys that we know each other so well and we know what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. We all bring something to the table.
Right.
And when we go to do these hunts, whether it's a smaller group like we'd had with 4 or 5 guys, or you go and do these big hunts, it's like we know who the guys are that are gonna do what jobs, and then we're very careful about who we bring into our group. Like, would we love to have everybody come with us? Sure, but we have to. And as our group grows and as our podcast grows and as like people who listen to this and follow along with us, like it's not that we don't want to just have everyone come, but like you can only have so much, but then also we have to we got to find people that fit with our group, with our style of what we do. And I feel like we've continued to just like progressively grow. We've added a few people in, like you've had a couple guys from work, Dallas, that have joined us, and like they're just great fit. Like Rob's an outstanding fit with our group. Like he's perfect. Like Rob is Rob, and I
look at the hill and I feel bad for him, but he runs right up it and he's fine.
Quick Rob story. So after I got my buck in PA last year, I turned my radio all the way up on my chest, and I was having a good time. You know, I'm eating food and waiting for people, and I grabbed these rocks in Pennsylvania. I'm way up on these side hills, and I freaking launched these rocks on the hill, man. And they sounded like running deer, like a running freaking giant buck. And like the second one I threw, Rob gets on the radio. He's like, "I got a big one coming." He's like, "We got deer moving," you know. And I just kept doing it. And he kept getting on the radio. It was so funny. And it just sounded like a crashing deer. And I got him for sure.
I mean, like last year with Rob at PA camp it was outstanding. Watching him and Peter Michael Haynes together was just
they're perfect.
They're absolutely perfect for each other.
One thing I'm not doing before Pennsylvania this year is staying up with Brother Dallas till 4 a.m. because this year.
So that was we had a pre-trip.
Pre-trip
meeting.
You got to talk about what you're gonna do.
We needed to. This is our largest.
Even though we know
group.
what we're gonna do.
Well, I knew I was gonna kill a buck the next morning.
Well, we knew that.
Yeah,
you knew that. We knew that.
Right.
So, the whole time I was in Pennsylvania this year, I was lost. The whole time, it was a mess. I was lost. So I'm like, what the frick is going on? You know, I usually know where I'm going, and the only thing I can chalk it up to was I got pretty hammered with Dallas. And then ever since then, I was just in a fog the whole time. I met Bob, your dad, in the woods one day. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm headed out to the road." He's like, and so I was almost like bullshit, because I was damn sure I was going in the right direction. And sure as shit, we walk out there, and he was right.
Yeah, I think we went to bed later that night than we got up the next morning.
Yeah.
Was it the night before, or was it? It was the week before, right?
No, it was like 2 nights before, right?
Yeah, it was during the week. It was Tuesday night. Yeah, and we left Thursday morning.
Thursday morning, yeah.
Yeah, but it takes a lot.
Yeah, I had a day to recover, but it
wasn't enough.
I was still fogged out.
Yeah, I left at like 11. You stayed till like 7.
Then where I shot my buck, Dallas is telling me where to go. And I was a disaster. I'm looking at my radio, looking at where I need to go, and I'm
crisscrossed me.
Well, another thing is
didn't we lose somebody that one?
I couldn't go where
right.
I needed to go. Like, I couldn't get through there.
Right.
And so that threw me off too. But then I finally got to that draw, and I'm like,
yeah,
this is the spot.
That was the spot.
I'm like, if a deer's coming out of here, it's coming out of through here, nice and low, or halfway up this hill, and sure as shit.
Yeah,
were you on the other side?
I was just the next one north of Brad. I was on the next draw.
I was kind of pushing over, and it's like a huge bowl.
It was a big bowl.
So Dallas knows I'm a disaster, and he's like pushing me through this or to get where I need to go. And then all of a sudden it starts, and I'm like, boom.
Gonna go chronological.
Boom, got one. And I just feel like he was like, seriously? What the hell?
I got up there, and I just crested the hill, and I see you. I knew it was you. I could tell your vest and everything, and you were walking. You were going the right direction, but I'm like, Brad, is that you? You're like, yeah, I got a little far up this way. Where do I need to be? I go, just go up over that hill to the next draw, and you'll be in the right spot. And I'm sitting up there, and I'm looking at the map again. I'm like, God damn, Brad picked the spot, because you could see because that was the night that I passed the map around to everybody and said, pick your spot. Well, I don't know if you were one of the first guys or if they just missed it, but you picked the fucking spot, and that's where the deer went.
Yeah, I mean, the deer, honestly, I always say the deer do exactly what you would do. Would you go to the top and try to get out of that mess? No, you wouldn't. You'd stay low and try to duck out, and that's exactly what that freaking deer was doing. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. But, man, I have never been so turned around the whole time.
But that was the whole way the draw looped, and then those draws came off it, because the big main creek It was really odd. We were all at the other end trying to find you guys, and I'm like, I can see you're northeast of us. But then I'm looking at the map, and it's like, none of that makes sense. And then I'm like, can anybody hear us? Nope, nobody can hear us. It's like, well, was that where they were 4 hours ago? Or is that where they are now?
Right.
And, no, it was just like, well, let's try and get closer and...
That was 2 full hunts
hopefully.
with shooters in the middle. That was cool.
I never really
It was a long ways.
I never really thought you could hunt PA on your own until we got into that area.
Yeah.
When Dallas and I walked out of that where they were logging this year,
Oh,
when
yeah,
we
you
walked
could
out
hunt
through
there.
that. You know how we went over all
Yeah.
those down trees and everything?
There was a ton of deer tracks in
Holy
there.
smokes. Like, if you found a spot to put a stand up right there.
Yep, you could just sit there for days.
Yeah, and that wasn't that far off the main logging
And you
road.
could actually see there.
Yeah.
That's a
You
spot
can
where you could just
see,
maybe
you can
sit on
shoot.
the opposite. You don't even need a tree stand. You're almost worse off with a tree stand in a spot like that because you can see better down low. And especially because you have that ravine to look across, so you can kind of just use the elevation of just sitting at the bottom of a tree.
I feel like if you looked hard enough, you could find a tree in an opening. But you're right. Like, a lot of times you'll go up in a tree, you're like, oh, man, this is a spot. And you'll go up in the tree, and you're like, oh, I have
Or
nothing.
sometimes maybe 8 feet up off the ground.
Right.
You know, I keep bringing my tree stand and one stick there every year and say I'm going to use it. I haven't yet, but me and Rob talk about it a lot. It's like a lot of the times it just needs to be some place you don't have to carry the stand too far. But if you're kind of near the truck and you got to go 300-400 yards, you put that stand, you put one stick up in the stand. It's like 3 feet off the ground. Then you can sit and be comfortable, but it just
You can
gets
still
you
get out
above
quick,
that.
too.
Well, that's the thing. You can jump out. You don't even have to use
Yeah.
the stick. You can just jump when you need to run after a deer.
Which is
But it's-
always...
Yeah, but when you sit on the ground, you're always trying to look up over that next little peak.
Yep.
So if you just get 3 feet off the ground, then you're comfortable and you're stationary and you can see everything you need to see.
Yeah, for sure. But it's doable.
The only
Just
times
don't
I
by
end up
yourself.
sitting are the times that I have to walk the 6 miles to get to where I'm going to sit. Otherwise, I'm usually walking. But I really think that's something that we might be missing out on as sitters. You know, that, like I say, there's the times where you got to walk miles to get to your spot, so don't worry about it. But the guys near the road, I'd have them in tree stands every time, just
Yeah.
low tree stands, because as soon as you get up
Just
too
to get
high
over
and you
the
can't
rise.
see a damn thing, but it's just when you get like
3 feet?
1 to 3 feet off the
Get
ground.
over the... Look
you
over
can-
the rises,
yeah.
and still shoot below the branches.
Because I can't stand for too long.
Nope,
My
I can't
legs
either.
and my back start to hurt, so I want to sit down. Well, as soon as you sit, you
Then you
can't
see
see
shit.
anything at all.
They got to be 40 yards when they come over a little rise. They're 40 yards, and you're like, ah.
But you sit in a low tree stand, you don't have to strap in, but you just,
Yeah,
a deer
right.
shoots up a different way, and you just jump and run.
Every time that I've shot down there, I've had elevation on the deer.
But you haven't done a lot of banging. You've had a lot
this
of
year
really.
I shot twice.
I know.
He was dead on the first one, but you.
But before that,
I didn't hit him on the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, I thought.
The only thing I can chalk it up to is I had that 708, and there was briars, some pretty good briars logging like new growth, and I must have just like exploded one off of some of that, and luckily he like didn't take completely off, and I had another one in there as fast as trigger could possibly get in, and I dumped him on the second one. But
Doubtful.
I don't know, man. With the muzzle loader, I think I'm getting pretty quick.
Oh, you're learning.
So you've killed 3 out of 4 years down there.
3 good bucks out of 4 years. Good bucks.
Yeah.
And I've
Sure.
killed 3 bucks out of 17 years.
But it was like 3 in a row, wasn't it? Or it was 2 in a row, and one
2
was
and
way
then
back.
a year after.
off.
Yeah.
That was
First one
pretty-
was a rodeo. I'm so thankful that I didn't go that year.
Yeah. Me too. Fuck.
I was at home snow blowing the driveway in a
Me
snowstorm.
dead and whacker. Yeah.
You sent me the picture. I'm like, all right, you got one, and you guys are like not even excited about
I
it.
couldn't even walk. It was Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I thought it was towards the top. By the time we get out with the 1.5 foot of snow over all the deadfalls, I mean, I woke up the next morning.
That's
and
where.
I was the pusher.
Yeah. Oh, great.
I was taking like 8-inch steps because my legs wouldn't go any further. It took about 3 hours before I could take a normal step.
Was it last year that the first day we took a serious beating? Was it
No, it
last
was the
year?
year before.
Oh,
before
okay.
that wet snow. That
Jesus.
was brutal.
When I went to bed at night,
But last
I
year
would
I
have
took
bet
a beating, too.
$1,000 that I wasn't going nowhere.
That
in the
was
morning.
the three of us and Rob in the Super Bowl in that afternoon, and that's where when I got. we
No,
were
I was
waiting-
there too that day.
That's what I said. You.
Oh,
the
yeah.
three
It
of us
thawed.
and Rob.
It thawed in the afternoon.
Fuck.
Oh,
The snow just slipped off.
couldn't
the
even
leaf.
stand
That
up.
sucked.
Jesus, I'd never fell so many times in my life.
But
So
this
that-
year it wasn't a lot better.
It was a lot.
Molly
it
was
a
with me.
lot Better.
Yeah, but
That was
we went
brutal.
down. We went straight down all that shit, and my feet were sliding a little.
Oh.
I'm like, oh,
When
I can
came-
fix this. Wrenched my shoes as tight as I could get them, and then on the top of one of my feet, you know how those ligaments or I don't know what they are. I screwed one of them up, and I could hardly walk. We're all the way back by where you shot your 10-pointer with one horn. We went up that side and we're skirting it, and Molly goes, "Can you get out of here?" And I'm like,
her first day being there.
well, I don't know about that. She's like, "Should we go up?" I'm like, well, fuck it.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep hunting because I'm like, I don't know if I can make it up that and out the 4 miles. So what's the difference if I skirt the side hill, go down and walk out 3 miles or 4 miles? You know. But it was bad. I didn't think I was gonna walk the next day. Couple handful of cocktails and
Yeah.
Some
It's
Advil.
amazing how, it's amazing how good you always feel good the next morning.
Yeah, gooder.
I do. I feel great the next morning every time. I don't get hangovers, nothing. I wake up at 4 o'clock and make coffee.
I've had a
I go
hangover.
Yeah,
take a
but
little-
you're drinking a lot of water, and I take Pedialyte with me now.
Yeah, that,
And I
I've had hangovers.
I drink Pedialyte
but you
and
get rid of
water. This year I was hungover. When I shot my buck, I was freaking hungover bad.
All right, so we always know that the people that are hungover have the advantage for shooting big bucks.
So 2 years
Let's
ago,
not hide it, you know.
2
well, that's
years
your
ago,
life story. Brian shooting big bucks in the morning with
All
a
right,
hangover.
Why don't we finish bow season?
Brad was telling a
Your
story.
bow buck?
Yeah.
Your bow buck?
Anyways, Brad, finish your story, then we'll get into bow season.
I was just gonna say 2 years ago in Pennsylvania on that first day when it sucked so bad. Finally, I get on the radio and I'm like, I'm coming out of here. And you and Dallas were both like, yeah, we came up, we're at the truck. I'm like,
Oh, so
well,
that's
well, why don't you guys stay there? Because when I get there, I'm gonna kill you both.
it gets even better after that because then you come up and Rob's still nowhere to be found. And this is his first day ever in Pennsylvania. So now I'm starting to get a little nervous. And I usually try to take it easy on the new guys. I don't know why I did that to him. And of course, we didn't realize how bad it was going to be with the snow. And I know all the shooters on that drive were frustrated with us because we weren't getting up through
Yeah,
there.
it
But
just took
believe me,
so
we were
long.
trying like
Man,
hell. So
it blew.
I go, Rob, how you doing? And he luckily he heard me right away. He goes, dying slowly. I don't think I ever laughed so hard.
He was at the very bottom.
Yeah,
he was still at the creek, right?
So I should have told him, but I didn't know because I hate to give too much.
No, because
change
when
of
you
plan,
give direction,
then everything gets
yeah.
fucked up. But
Yeah.
he figured out later that because he was at the bottom, he could have just shot up halfway
Straight
to
up
that
the
side
hill.
and hit that logging road and then walked up out of there.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't have been following the plan, and it would have been done over the radio.
Oh,
so you
that
can
hill
really
sucks.
you can really screw shit up that way. So I just let him just stick to the plan, but dying slowly. Just my God. Then
there was smoke pouring off his head. When he got out of there.
So he swore the third day down there. He's like, "Yeah, I think this is gonna be my only time coming down here." And then we killed a
nice.
buck on the last afternoon. And then, even after we went home, he's like, "Yeah, I don't know if I can do this again." And then 2 days later, I'm like, "Hey, I'm thinking about going back on Saturday for the last
Yeah.
day." And he's like, "All right, I'm in."
But what was the buck that we killed? It was a motivational
Right.
buck.
But even after that,
Yeah.
he was like, he had a good trip. He didn't have any regrets, but he's like, I don't know if this is for me
No
or not.
regrets.
And then, like I said, 2 days later, he's like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
But he did good. He does. He's
Rob?
yeah, he's pretty good. All right, we're gonna get back to PA. I think in like what, 8 minutes.
Yeah, but so this is your
That's a hangover buck. Yeah.
archery. Oh yeah.
I don't
Hangover
kill
treatment
bucks.
buck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, Billy, take this back and then bring your buck out and I'll score that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then after
We'll do. This is a quick story.
And
It's
then
a
I'll
2
go
minute story.
back and we'll do talk scoring later.
Sounds good.
So, I guess I do have a history.
Bill, do you have your buck?
Yeah, fuck, chill out.
I'm not sure if you heard him with these
What is Freddie doing outside right now?
I don't know, but he's out
Come
here.
here, Fred. Come here.
He's getting hammered.
Come here, bud. You want a little nutterl? Come here, bud. Come here.
So for whatever reason,
Come here.
I'm thinking it's just coincidence that if I have a hangover or have some fun at night, my chances of killing a buck are like, I don't know, probably
There's a factor there.
there's a very large factor. Maybe it's just coincidence. But I did have this buck on camera. That was the most prominent buck in Pavilion. You know, it
123.5, right?
Did he? Nice.
I see. So Ben Jensen wants to call in.
Yeah.
Should we? You want to do your story quick and then have Ben
Yeah,
call in?
I'll do a 2-minute story. But
All right.
So, anyways, this buck I had pictures of all summer. This was the most prominent buck on the property, and really, like, some days he looked huge, some days he looked questionable. But I had that week off. Me and Tard hunted.
Man,
I mean,
I need to see more.
A week of hunting that never would be better.
AJ, if you're gonna talk to Dallas, just flip that. There you go. Sorry. You're good.
So, anyways, I had a week off. Me and Tard stayed together. Good times. Just like we're 18 years old.
Right.
We hunted some public land. Seen one of the biggest bucks I've ever seen at 40 yards. Shot at a 125-inch buck at 18 yards. It was a gimme. Took care of him.
Yep.
Why? I still don't know.
You'll never know.
Anyways, one of the best hunts ever. Dallas and Dad are going down to PA. I'm whacking. Then I shot another about 120-inch buck. An hour later, hit a tree. Public land. Calling. Having a blast.
Yeah.
Me and Tard are...
You guys had a special day.
We were 120 yards apart, calling, and I'm whacking. And Tard don't see any of these deer, you know. We had a 2-year-old come through first. Tard kept calling. That one came through. He saw that one. Would let that one go. But I shot at like 2 3-year-olds. One I hit a tree. One was a gimme. The bigger one was a gimme. And then the monster I never got a shot at. But it was like, what a freaking week, you know. Or what a day. Then the last day of my and Tard's little sabbatical together, he was going to Montana. But the night before I got cleared so we could eat whatever we want. Me and him ate an entire pizza together. Bunch of beers. We stayed at his parents' house, watched Thursday Night Football. We just had a freaking blast, right?
Yeah.
So we get home at like we go home at 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it was, you know, I don't freaking know. But he drove and we ate. I could hardly drink. I drank a lot, but I could hardly drink because we were so full. Because we had a limited diet for the week before. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. My alarm goes off, and my stomach's going. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know what? I ain't hunting. Fall asleep for like 10 minutes. Wake up, and I'm like, you know what? It's freaking hunting season. We gotta go. Fly out to where I'm hunting. Stop, grab a little bag of Cheez-Its and a water. Big freaking water, because I just felt like garbage.
Right on 20.
Right on 20.
I know exactly where you stop.
Yep. T-Town or whatever.
Yeah.
Floor out, our boat rolls sideways. It's getting light. The sun's coming up. I'm like, oh, man. I always do this. Whoa! Pull it in. You know, I got a pretty good habit of opening my back door and just, like, tossing my shit on. And I'm like, run 200 yards through the, like, it's a driveway, but it's right through the woods. I just, like, run, get up into my tree, and I'm just like, this sucks. Like, a minute later, there's something coming right under my tree. It's a little freaking, I don't know. You know, just I had like 5 deer around me within. I'm still like tying on, setting up, and I'm like, this is stupid. You know, it's already getting light out. You know. All of a sudden, you know, so as soon as I get in the stand, I do the grunting, bleating, I do my little routine. You know, it's October, like, I don't know, about 28 or 30.
Yeah, it had to have been that last week of October.
Yeah, it was the last couple days of October. So I do my bleating, whatever. I don't know. I have a little routine. I mean, I barely got an arrow knocked, and something's trotting through the freaking swamp, swampy brush, and I'm like, oh, that's a decent buck, you know. And didn't even think I was gonna shoot him. Then he turned, and I seen the pretty good tines on one side, and I was pretty sure what buck it was. You know, it looked pretty wide, and stopped him at 30 yards and freaking floored him like I shot him with a 300, and it was just like, all right. And then he got his back legs up and pushed himself like 60, 70 yards. And I wasn't even sure where I hit him. I thought I hit him in the heart. That's where I thought I seen the arrow hit him. But it sounded like a 2x4 broke.
Mm.
And he just dropped. He got his back end up, you know, he's knocking trees over, and like I don't even know what I did.
You hit something hard.
Hit something hard.
What'd you end up hitting?
Well, I ended up hitting right in front of the shoulder. And it went through the front of both shoulders.
Oh.
Then he called me up at work. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I need somebody to freaking, like,
and
I don't know.
He was all worried about it. Sometimes it's funny when you hit a deer like that.
Yeah.
Because he's telling me what happened, and I'm like, well, what did it do when you hit it, and you know, what are you seeing
dropped.
now? And then finally, I'm like, Brian, that deer's dead.
Yeah.
Like Molly was out there with you by then, right? And I'm like, Brian, he's dead. Like, just follow him and whatever. I'm like, I can't get out of work today, so, but I think it's dead, and it was.
Yeah. So I called Tard. Tard's getting ready for Montana. He don't answer. Brad don't answer. He's working. Dallas, they were the first ones that answered.
He never call you?
They're in
He
PA.
never even tried me.
I called you. You didn't answer.
Billy's leading into something here. He's
No,
very
no.
left out.
No,
That's
not.
all.
I called everybody.
No, go ahead.
I just needed somebody to help me. They're the ones that answered, and they're in PA. They're like, sounds good. And I talk a little more and like, I don't know. And I'm like, damn.
An inch of doubt. Not
Yeah.
good.
You don't know what to do.
No.
I answered.
You answered, and
He's
you're
on
like,
leave.
I'm at work.
But he's dead. I said he's dead.
Yeah. So I went all the way
Right
home.
side now, right?
Come back with Molly and Kenzie. Mayo's in school.
Yeah.
And it's like, we take the side by side. We come down the driveway for the neighbors, like the property line. And I had my bow because I'm like, I feel like he could be like alive but down, because I'm pretty sure I saw him. Well, he never got up.
Okay.
He dropped. His ass end came up, and he pushed himself. His head and front end was on the ground.
He was just plowing.
For 60 yards through small trees, just busting them down. And then he hit the driveway to go into the neighbors, and it all went quiet.
Hmm.
And I thought I could see him there, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe he stood up and ran.
Right.
Like, I don't know where I hit him. It looked like I hit him in the heart, but huge whack. Like you break a 2x4, you know. So we took the side by side. We come down that driveway. I go, I'm just gonna do that. I don't want to walk by. I want to drive the side by side down, because if he's
And
alive
just
laying
look.
there,
Yeah.
we can just like maybe drive by him. I get there and there's a 8-10 inch wide blood smear across the driveway, and he's laying in, he's got his horn stuck in he's like 4 yards off the driveway.
Yeah.
Just
That was perfect.
horn stuck in a freaking tree. I
Yeah.
mean, I crushed him.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, he wasn't going nowhere.
thank God. He went like 65
But
yards.
that inch of doubt like creeps into your head when you don't see him go down. There's just like,
and it's like I hit him in the shoulder. Like maybe it didn't get enough, but man, 470 grain arrow, 2-inch rage. It hit both shoulders on the front edge, and it poked out.
so
other
the
side.
arrow did not go. It was not a full pass through.
Nope.
It stopped.
The broadhead.
The broadhead passed through, but the arrow didn't fully pass through.
And I had a lighted knock, and the thing's just freaking launching around, and halfway in his ass up, face down,
just plowing.
It broke the arrow in half, and I could see the freaking lighted knock sitting there, and I'm like, and when you see it, when a 30-inch arrow hits a deer, I mean, that deer's only 12 inches wide.
Right.
And you're like, I didn't get enough penetration. There's too much sticking out.
Right.
Well, the broadhead was through the hide on the other side. So.
Yeah.
But that's why you never know what you got.
No, you don't.
And when you think you made a good shot, sometimes you don't. And sometimes when you're not sure if you made a good shot, it's freaking.
It's always good if you don't know, too.
Yeah.
Oh, Ben. Hold on, Ben. Don't go to bed. See, that was more than 2 minutes, Trigger.
Was it 3?
Yeah. Ben, call in quick. Trigger's done talking.
Sorry, sometimes I last longer than I think.
Don't go to bed. Isn't that good? That's nice. No, Ben. No. Don't leave us. Ben had a question, Dallas, for you about food plots.
All right.
Give that to Brother Dallas. We'll see if Ben calls in or not. If he doesn't call in. Nice work, Trigger. Jesus. Almost took my nose off. All right. We still got audio. That's good. What was Ben's question? What do you find works? His question is pretty vague, and it's like you could go 100 million directions with it, but he was asking what works best for food plots?
Yeah. So I kind of answered that before, but I think that this year is a good illustration of what works good is that no matter what, diversity is kind of the name of the game, not just for food plots, but for growing crops or vegetables or whatever in general. But I think it really paid off this year with having grown a lot of drought-resistant crops. But also, if it had been a summer like last year, the cowpeas and that would have been one of the main ones that wouldn't probably have done too well. And the buckwheat doesn't like a lot of water either, but the corn would have been just slurping up the water,
Yeah.
And so this year, the corn on the wettest ground did really good. The other stuff, it might still turn out okay if we get some decent rain, but at least we've got the drought-resistant crops growing really good. And so that can be, if you're on any sort of drier ground, I mean, we have mostly wet clay bottom ground, a lot of swampy type stuff. I mean, all of our food plots are either in or along a swamp or something like that, Even like the top front food plot, it's all swampy ground, so it really holds moisture. So we typically shouldn't be too worried about drought, and here we are,
But if you're looking for a food plot that you don't have to buy a bunch of equipment or a planter or whatever, brassicas.
Yeah.
Pretty much you can't go wrong. Brassicas.
So, but make sure that you do. It's got to be. You should be trying to grow something all year round, though, and for soil health reasons, but also for weed suppression. So, if you grow brassicas in the fall, you want to try to make sure you get some clover and some cereal grains, especially cereal grains, broadcasted in with it. And what I would do is get your seed bed cleared, no matter what you want to, whether you're a tiller or you're just killing weeds and trying to rake back the thatch and whatever. Like, say you're starting a new food plot, you got to get exposed soil. Then broadcast your brassica mix down in the early August. Most brassicas that you buy are going to be some sort of a mix. You're going to have turnips and radishes together, and probably rape and kale. And I would have some clovers mixed in there too. When I buy mixes, I get them from Green Cover Seed, and they have clovers always mixed with the brassicas. Get them in early to mid-August, but you got to time it with rain if you're broadcasting. Try to get rain within like a couple days of broadcasting. Give them 2-3 weeks to get out of the ground and start putting out a decent leaf on them. But before they leaf out and shade out the ground, you need to come in and broadcast winter rye or winter wheat or even triticale, something that'll overwinter over top of that. But you have to get that stuff down on the soil before the brassicas leaf out and shade out the cereal grains. So you want to. It's important to get that stuff down so that it grows and it comes back in the spring and grows up, and that'll serve several purposes. That'll give you food. It'll be the first thing to green up for food for deer and turkeys in the spring. But the biggest thing is weed suppression, because if you just put brassicas down in the fall, that can be a great fall food plot, but that stuff's all going to die in the winter, and in the spring, you got nothing left but weeds. So then in summer, you're going to be back to the same situation you were last year, where you're going to be spraying, mowing, you're going to be fighting weeds, and you're going to be thinking, year after year, you're going through the same old situation of weeds. So just make sure that even if you do the simplest system, make sure that you have those cold hardy plants in there to provide that cover and weed suppression for the spring. One of the simplest things that I've seen is and of course you don't have to have a corn planter, but the best way to do it is to have a corn planter or a drill. Even if you can borrow or rent one, put your soybeans in anytime in the spring, right up until, you can do it up to mid-July if you have enough moisture. Just plant soybeans in rows with a corn planter and Roundup Ready soybeans. A month later in August, come in, spray the weeds, kill the weeds. You'll have, even if your soybeans aren't great, then you broadcast in, do the system that I said. You'll have bare dirt, so that's when you put in your brassicas, and then you come in and put in your, rye is probably the easiest thing to do. But soybeans, brassicas, rye, it's simple, it's cheap, you'll have a beautiful food plot, and you'll have it the next spring. It's one of the easiest things to do. And you can get the soybeans from if you're an NDA member now, you can get them for $20 a bag. And a bag of soybeans will do an acre of just straight soybeans. So that's the simplest system, and then as you learn more, you can start to get more diverse. But the beauty of soybeans is that even if they fail, whether the deer eat them or you get a drought like we have now and they fail, you can still come back in on top of them and broadcast that nice fall food plot in on top of them. So that's the simplest advice for food plots.
So you would call that simple, would you?
Yeah.
You lost me at.
If you want really
brassicas.
simple, brassicas, and then you could add rye and the weed crops.
And that's where I started out. I added soybeans in there later, but
we did 3 plots last year of just brassicas, and the latest one was damn near September.
Did you say pert near?
Pert near.
Yeah.
September, and they loved that plot. They loved them all, but the one that was the most tender, the latest, they freaking couldn't get enough of it. It was unreal.
And what kind of bulbs did that end up putting on?
It put on turnips and sugar beets and parsnips, and it had rape and kale, and it had all sorts of shit.
So that's probably where you put your corn and soybeans into this year?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah, that's a nice thing too. Is brassicas, when they rot out, they turn into a really nice fertilizer. But also even for that, you still need you need that cereal grain too, because brassicas scavenge, they're nutrient scavengers, but when they break down, they'll actually release the stuff back into the soil. So it's good to have the rye, because that'll take the nutrients back up.
I hate to do a hard transition here, but I see Danny Boy is still with us. I think we need to get Danny Boy involved here. Danny.
Yo.
What are you doing, buddy?
Just listening.
Are you enjoying the conversation?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
You're the host here. I thought you lead the conversation here.
I do, but
You've had 2 hours to think about it, Danny.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
I know you've mulled this over a little bit.
The floor is yours.
You guys know how analytical I am.
Yes.
No.
Danny, how's the new house?
And why? Also, why?
Yeah, why? Yeah, give us the why. Why would you move away from your best friends?
Without saying goodbye.
Silence.
Yeah, blink twice if you can't talk about it right now. Danny. Did we lose him or is he dead?
You got me? No.
I got you. We
No,
got
what's
you.
going
Okay.
on? Yeah.
No.
I was like, what's going on?
Well, we made it funny and then you didn't respond and we felt like we went too far. Brad asked how's the new house and why did you leave without saying goodbye?
I mean, I had to leave. I was handcuffed.
Oh,
But, yeah.
All right, do you need us to call the police? Are you being held against your will?
No.
No.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just enjoying a bush light on my deck.
It looks like you got a nice deck, a nice big deck in your back there.
Danny, did you
Big
get
old deck.
Did you get a puppy?
We did.
So
we
did
got
we.
a chocolate a couple weeks ago.
We got a black lab a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, his name's Frank. Brad, do you know his dog's name's Frank?
No, I did not.
You weren't on the mic, so you probably couldn't hear him talking.
Oh.
I think you weren't on there. But his dog's name is Frank, and he does not yet have Beans. But he will one day have Beans, and then Danny will probably take him to the vet and have his Beans removed.
Yeah, me too.
And he'll just be Frank. So what do you want to talk about? What sort of hunting topics you got? Or are you not even hunting topics? You got any life topics you want to talk about? Danny?
You're putting me on the spot here.
I
I'm just
am.
trying to
Anything?
drink some beers and
Well,
I don't know.
Anyone? Danny? Anyone?
I mean, I'll just mute you again if you're going to bring nothing to the program.
Well, I mean, you set everybody up with a topic, and then
Tell us the story about your buck then.
Yeah, let's hear the story about your...
Well, everybody heard that.
Huh?
One,
Drink a
I tell you
monster? He did kill a monster. Danny, tell us your secrets of shooting big bucks, Danny. You hunt 2-3 days a year and shoot big bucks, Danny.
get lucky, I guess.
Is there a secret to the stink? Is what I wonder. Is there a dietary practice that you find works best for shooting big bucks?
I've learned not to drink coffee on my way to the tree stand.
That's valid.
And
Why
it
not?
doesn't
On
really
the way,
it doesn't
Jesus.
really help because generally I drink 10 chicken or I eat 10 chicken wings and drink eight beers a night before I go hunting. So still having issues there, but I mean I think everybody runs that. So
Yeah, it's a fairly standard challenge most people deal with.
123.5.
Was there anything you took away from? I mean, we did a podcast on here about your buck, so we don't need to go through the whole gamut. But is there anything that you learned from that last year that you're going to implement in your strategy this year?
Yeah, one thing where I am hunting now is like I've been adjusting every time. Like I try to take in where I'm seeing deer every time I'm walking in there, and I'm trying to adjust where I'm hunting and where I'm sitting from there. So based off of
120.
I know I'm just tweaking little things really. So I think I want to move where I shot my buck last year, where I was sitting. I was kind of on an island in the middle of like deer could come anywhere. And I mean, I generally don't get winded, but if I was by chance to get winded, there are certain places that my wind might not blow into a deer's nose, and I'm gonna try to seek out those places, perhaps moving to where they don't get behind me and wind me, if they were to wind me.
Rumor has it you've never been winded.
Yeah, that's
you and John Eberhart, the only two hunters in the world that never been winded.
Is that still a thing? Like you've still never been winded, as far as you're aware?
You You didn't talk about the deer a mile and a half away that it smelled you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely got winded last year, but it might have been
First
the
time though, that's pretty good. Like first time
Yeah,
in 15 years,
yeah,
that's pretty
yeah.
good.
So that's why I gotta adjust.
You gotta adjust.
I got deer coming off a nice ridge, and a couple of them made a hard left and got behind me. And I also had a buck.
Roger.
We got some scoring going on over here, Danny boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually need somebody to score my deer because I think I registered it at 129, and then I really maybe I could squeeze a little more.
What about
out of
him?
them.
I mean, it's marking midnight. I'm guessing probably not. Russ Henches.
It's midnight. I go to bed at like 4 at night.
Yeah, it's almost midnight. It's midnight.
Cool.
Yeah,
20 minutes too.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes too.
Danny boy.
So we scored AJ's buck. We scored my PA buck. So AJ's gun buck here, my PA buck, and Uncle Dallas is scoring Brian's archery buck right now. So.
Yeah, which has already been scored, but the other two hadn't been, right?
No, I've never scored mine.
AJ, where's your buck? I want to see that again.
I think it's over there, isn't it?
No, it's behind you.
Because that's a freaking awesome buck.
I'm curious to have Dallas score those sheds there.
Man, AJ.
That was pretty fun walking up on that.
Nothing prouder.
No.
Than to walk up on that.
I didn't get the invite.
Put your name on the list.
Well,
what a freaking buck.
You had to have gotten a phone call.
No, I don't think I did.
Got a picture. It's all right,
I sent a
though.
picture.
It's pretty messed up, AJ.
Sean made the same comment too.
Yeah.
Start including you both.
Sean was mad about
We need a group text.
Well, and the thing is, it's like I'm walking in to get Maya. You know, I already got Kenzie, but I'm just getting Maya, and I had a missed call, and I'm like,
sorry.
shit. Well, finish getting her
What are you doing
and
back here?
get on the road. And
Mute your mic, Danny.
so it's like, I can't do anything, and it's like, wonder what he wants. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like,
it's dusk. It's
he probably wants something pretty cool. So I call you back as soon as I leave getting, because it's a life.
Mm-hmm.
You know life.
Oh, I got 3 of them.
Yeah. I only have 2, and life is,
Life.
life. So, shit, call you back, you don't answer. I'm like, I don't know. Because right away I'm thinking, AJ's got a big buck. But,
He did.
Yeah,
and that was colder than bejesus. that night.
it was like 11 degrees out.
Yeah.
It was freaking cold.
We're
We just got back from PA, and it was like,
Walking around, I was like, I can't believe AJ's out hunting tonight after we were just gone for a whole weekend.
so we're playing
God bless
phone
Rachel.
tag.
God bless her.
Everybody's.
It was Tuesday, wasn't it?
It was like
I think there was a day in between.
I think it was a
I
Tuesday.
didn't push it.
No,
too
bullshit. You were hunting Monday night. No
Look
way.
at that some bitch. Just wide.
Yeah.
It's just a cool buck.
That is a cool buck.
Good beams.
And he had a big old body.
So
on
I
him.
don't think I said the story on this.
Sorry.
I saw him once early bow season.
Yep.
Never saw him again. I was pettering another buck, not as wide but really tall tines,
I like
and
big tines.
he walked into the picture out of nowhere. Like
This one did.
Yeah.
There's no way we could not shoot that.
No, as soon as he was walking
He's like
towards me, face right to me. And
20
I just
inches
saw
wide.
bam.
Oh, that's awesome. I was so proud of you. That's awesome. Seriously, I mean, like, it doesn't get any better.
It was freaking cold though. Just to stay warm, I started dragging it before you guys got there.
Yeah, and it's like when I finally get to talk to you, I think I got him down. I get one. It's like I as soon as Molly gets home, be there. Which I was. It just sucks, it's like
So
life. 5 o'clock at night on weeknight in December.
So from that same tree stand, I got this buck and 3 doe, all within 3 weeks, I think it was.
Nice. And you're in the saddle, right?
Yeah, in the saddle.
What's the guess on that buck?
Ooh, he just got 22-inch beams.
AJ's got 22-inch beams on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, they look good. My first one's 21 3/8.
I'm guessing 120.
Yeah, and I thought my buck was going to beat yours by a little bit because of the tines.
I think that one's gonna beat that one by a little bit, right?
I thought so, but that scored an inch higher than mine, or like a half inch. Let me see. That's why I wanted Dallas to score it. 123.5 is AJ's, and I think that was only like 122.5 is what I scored it at. But I would have thought that would have beat it by just a little bit, but maybe not.
Not much.
No. It's got better tines and stuff. Oh, they're hard.
Oh, I know. When those beams get... Oh, easy. Jesus. Dallas, your wife says you need to talk more about deer and less about food plots, says Emma. So does that mean your daughter Emma is still awake right now? Oh, she did. She'd be bored. Yeah, Jen's got bullhorn. Jen, call in. Let's get Emma on here.
It's what?
If you're gonna let your children be up this late, they might as well be doing something productive.